bit of a lighter note right now.
Sure.
Okay, I'm kind of in that kind of mood where I'm just ready to blow off some steam after this incredible week. 1 year ago this very minute, this is what we were talking about on our show.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
That was a year ago.
1 year ago, you and I were talking about that on this radio show where Chris Martin looked up and saw the two hugging and hanging on. And we have since, on the Kiss Cam, and we have since found out that it was totally legit what they were doing because they were separate from their spouses and they were having an actual real kind of thing relationship, which was two consenting adults. So it wasn't the big scandal that it was made up to be, but from that to where we are today.
Oh, man.
Isn't that incredible?
Well, it's just I'm getting to that age where a year is like a blink of an eye.
Isn't it crazy?
Holy crap, that was a year.
Isn't that crazy just how fast?
I still maintain Coldplay is mistress music.
Of course
just so you know, I said that last year.
But, you know, you and I both have more in the rearview mirror than we have in the windshield. And,
I know, Trey. I know.
Welcome to Friday. All right.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah. Some of the other stories we're going to get to, and it's all on my X account, one that I've been trying to get to for the entire week, but, of course, this other stuff's more important, is a redheaded nut job illegal alien from Canada who went over and slapped a teenage girl. That's on my X account. We're going to be talking about a mutant creature named Jimothy. We're going to get into that. Tom Tillis saying, you can't do the Save America Act because you ain't got the time to do it. Well, they're the ones who made sure we didn't have the time to do it. There was a debate yesterday with Graham Plattner's replacements in Maine, so I got a little bit of that. And then, of course, on the X account, I've got all kinds of video of the flooding as the waters continue to flow down the Guadalupe and the other rivers. And we're going to get into that quite a bit today. It's raining now off to the northwest, so directly north of Del Rio, some heavy storms. It's raining over San Angelo right now. The areas of Killeen and Austin and places like that are pretty clear. Fredericksburg and Kerrville, pretty clear this morning. I'm going to go down some of the headlines from last night, some of the information that I have gathered here overnight. I'm going to get into that. But first, let's go to our news director, Christian Blood, up in the Kerrville area this morning. Let's get a check on how things are going. Christian, 24 hours ago when we spoke with you, you were in a parking garage. Tornado warnings were everywhere. The water was coming out of sky like crazy, and it was rising in the Guadalupe. What do you see today?
Well, the sun's not up yet, but as you know, what I'm looking at personally, what I can see is that we might be blessed here this morning because that big mass of thunderstorms that you were just talking about, it looks like that's going to stay well to our west northwest.
It is.
It should miss San Antonio, Austin, the whole I-35 corridor, because if that, and that's not the most intimidating thunderstorm I've ever seen, but you can see how big that is.
Uh-huh.
If that was over us right now, then we may not have the tornado problems, but I'm betting the Guadalupe River is doing something quite similar. And I was asked by another station a few minutes ago, what do you think about river activities this weekend or today? And Trey, that water's all to the north of us.
Right.
But even though it clears up here, these rivers could rise again, and that's why you're probably not looking at having any river access for some time in the future.
You can in the lower Guadalupe if you're below Canyon Lake, say the River Road area and all that. You still got the outfitters won't open unless it's okay. And I think when I checked Canyon Lake last night, it was still about 17 feet below. So I could see a scenario though, guys, where Canyon Lake fills up today or tomorrow. I mean, and we haven't been at a full Canyon Lake, and the last time I can't remember. I can't remember when we were at a full Canyon Lake. So it's coming, and some of the information that I got yesterday was that in Comfort, it had crested about 300,000 cubic feet per second. Just think about that. And I heard a guy just a minute ago, because I was going to use the same analogy, that's two Mississippi rivers. Wow. So when it crested there in Comfort, that was the highest level that we had seen in Guadalupe since 1900. That included July 4th of last year, and that included 1998 when we hit records. Now, that was there in Comfort. We're not seeing that downstream, although there were mandatory evacuations in Spring Branch. We still have some of that information where along the way, some of those trailer parks and what have you along the Guadalupe, they had to be evacuated. A lot of those people are at Spring Branch Middle School this morning because that was a mandatory evacuation last night. But we're now starting to see it settle. So, Kristen, the numbers in your area where you are this morning will start to go down precipitously. You'll see a big drop.
Yeah, I think that the improvement in weather, like I said, river activity probably, I don't think you're going to find too many people who want to test that this weekend, so maybe go to a movie or something. But I just want to point out, how blessed we are, because you never want to lose anybody. But in Kerr County, at last I saw last evening, this may have changed, my apologies if it has. My sleep schedule is completely backwards at this point.
I feel you.
Yeah, well, it usually is anyway, but it's been especially stressful. But I think we have one person dead.
You do. One there in Kerr County.
Yeah.
Mr. Seawold, he was 65 years old. And the governor had some misinformation yesterday. He said it was a woman over in Uvalde. That was another man who was washed away, a 74-year-old man who was washed away in his car. And but with as I want to be careful and sensitive how I say this. With as tragic as it is to lose 2 lives, we remember a year ago with 25 children and everything else. So the sirens that went off, the warnings, all the talk on radio and social media prior to all this, it certainly helped mitigate this to a large degree. So, Kristen, when the sun comes up, we're going to check with you every hour like we did yesterday. And when the sun comes up, we'll visit with you a little bit later on, 1 hour from right now. Thank you, Christian Blood. So the flood waves is what they call this. So these rivers, and by the way, since he's talking about activities in the rivers, remember there's debris in there too. There's tree limbs and junk and stuff like that to get washed away. I saw trash cans and everything else. So there's all kinds of junk. Not like it was last year, because a lot of that's been cleaned up over the year. But there's still limbs and all that kind of junk that tend to mess up a prop, just so you'll know. And then you've got sections of the Guadalupe, the highest since 1900. I mentioned it a second ago. 2 deaths, as we just said. One in Kerr County, a 65-year-old man, 74-year-old man in Uvalde. Some of the roads and highways are going to be closed. Let me tell you what's going on around here, because we have what they call low-water crossings. Ware and Cibolo Creek, Bulverde and Cibolo Creek, Speck Road and Cibolo Creek, Smithson Valley and Cibolo Creek, Cagnon and Medina River, Schaefer and Cibolo Creek, Bear Bowling and Cibolo Creek, Gable and Martinez Creek, Ulrich and Cibolo Creek. I think you've heard about Cibolo Creek enough this week, as I've been talking about it all week long, right? Abbott, Martinez Creek, Aviation Road and Cibolo Creek, Habby Lane and Highway 16, Old Fredericksburg Road and County Line and Lower Seguin at Cibolo Creek. So, but I was told yesterday that they may take a look at closing 281 near the Guadalupe River today as well. So please be aware of that. And I'm sure my friend David from Airport Security Park will let me know as he comes in from that area. The rain totals are just astronomical. In Kerr County, in Kerrville, we've had over 20 inches of rain. But get down to Canepa and Uvalde, and we're talking about almost 30 inches of rain. 30 inches of rain.
There's going to be a lot of cleanup this weekend.
Yes, yes. Well, that's exactly right. We're going to be a lot of people working on that, and they already are. On my Facebook page, my friend Megan, she's heading up a group of people who are going to go drop off supplies, and she listed what they're looking for, and they're going to drop off at the Tejas Rodeo over off of Fair Oaks. So you guys who want to contribute to that, just go to my Facebook page. I posted it there. The Guadalupe River crested at Spring Branch 37 feet.
Man.
37 feet.
Now, wasn't the total last year, as far as rainfall, 20 inches? I mean, we've eclipsed that.
It was like 20 or 25.
Yeah, I mean, but this has been substantially more rain than that, and that was a lot of rain.
This was way higher than last year, and the rivers are way higher.
Yeah.
If you want to see it, I put it on my X account, and I've got, Sean, I got several different rivers. Here's the Guadalupe River, and it was at 58.7 CFS and climbing at Spring Branch yesterday afternoon. The Llano at 7:15 last night just looks like an angry mess of water in the Llano. The Pedernales, somebody check on Willie, because the Pedernales is just a raging monster of a river, or it was. This was all yesterday when it was still daylight.
Right,
so right before it got dark. Pedernales is mentioned Willie because that's where he lives up there, and Pedernales Falls State Park, LBJ State Park, and all that's right there on the Pedernales. And then over in Uvalde, I've got some drone footage. Uvalde's completely underwater. Now, I talked to a friend of mine yesterday. Dan Eason owns several businesses in Uvalde, and he's advertised with me for years. And talked to him yesterday, and his businesses are okay, but he said the entire city, and yeah, you can see it on this drone footage on my X account, is underwater. Uvalde is underwater. So God bless all those people there. Elaine, you're right. There's going to be a lot of cleanup work to be done this weekend. They're going to need supplies. And so I just want to encourage you. I believe the Salvation Army is going to some of these places, so you can give to the Salvation Army.
You may want to look up the Salvation Army website and also the Red Cross website, or if you know of any churches that are.
I'll tell you what. Let's gather all that information ourselves, and we'll start putting it out. We'll make sure people understand where to give and how to give. All right. We'll take a quick break. Let me tell you about my friends over at New Bath Today. At New Bath Today, they're ready to remodel your entire bathroom, make it into something so beautiful and so usable that you're going to want to stay in your home forevermore. I know that's what I'm doing. We, Nancy and myself, we are updating our home because we have made a commitment. That's where we want to be. And so, I've been telling you about the Rhino shoe we put on it and all the windows and everything else. Well, New Bath Today will do your entire bathroom, okay? They started as safe showers, just building these beautiful safe showers with a low step-up entry and non-slip floor, just no grout, so you don't have to worry about mold and all that kind of stuff. And now they're doing the entire bathroom. So they'll put that non-slip floor throughout the entire bathroom. They'll put in new cabinetry. They'll put in new sinks, new lighting, and new mirrors, vanities, however you want it built. Now, check out the special they're running for you right now for a limited time. Qualified buyers can get $0 down, 0% interest, and no payments for 24 months. So you get your New Bath today, and you don't pay them. You use their money for 2 years. Or you can get a free quote that's good for up to 1 year. So if you're not ready to move ahead now, that's okay. They're going to honor the price 1 year from today with newbathtoday.com. All right, it's Friday, July 17th. We're now in the drying out phase. It's going to be dry and hot. Man, get ready. Chance of a shower this morning, and then sun and clouds later, high of 90. Sunny and hot tomorrow and Sunday, 92 and 94. 78 now, KTSA. Up, baby. This is as funky as it gets. Ow, how? 6:23, Mr. Rima.
Well, the last thing I did last night, you've had about 15 minutes of sleep a day for the past 5 days. I got substantially more, but I stayed up and watched the president last night. He started speaking about 8 p.m. our time. And as expected, it was mostly about election fraud and corruption. He spent the first few minutes talking, giving the usual resume stuff about the economy and the border and all that. But then once he got around to elections, discussed how they had released 4 sets of documents to whitehouse.gov, each dealing with a different angle or different aspect of election corruption in this country. Probably the strongest terms you've heard or strongest information we've heard thus far, even though we know this to be true, that the Chinese are heavily involved in affecting our elections. They got their hands on quite a few voter registration files, people's information, personal information that you would need to fill out a voter registration. I think we had over 200,000 folks who should not have been on the voter rolls, and yet they were. The Chinese were heavily involved in, according to the president, in paying people within the media to report.
Paid actors.
I think he said vast sums of money were paid to people in our own media
to
create this narrative.
I've been calling them paid actors, so that's why I pointed at them. Paid actors.
Apparently they are. Yeah, that they ought to join SAG.
Yeah,
get your SAG dues paid, guys. Which I that kind of stuck with me, even though we always knew that, but I guess what we're learning now is the scale at which this was happening. He talked about voting machines in Michigan. That's another trove of documents that were released. And again, all of this stuff is available at whitehouse.gov. It's pretty all-encompassing. He talked about folks within the government covering this up, in the Biden administration not investigations into corrupted elections and polling places being shut down. He talked about burn bags. And he kind of wrapped it all up. He spoke for about 40 minutes, and he wrapped it all up by imploring for the passage of the Save America Act. Some of the lines he had, he started off saying, people don't trust our elections. No trust, no greatness, which arguably is true. If you don't trust the elective process in this country, pretty much everything else falls by the wayside. I mean, pretty much everything we are depends on who our elected officials are and on those elections being the genuine will or representation of the people. I was struck mostly by the extent to which we now understand China was involved. That and the Biden administration shutting down all these investigations. I'm sure you saw a lot. I'm just on Facebook, but I'm sure you saw this all over X. People screaming, the president needs to let it go. Liberal idiots screaming their brains out about, he's a dictator. He's not letting this election go. He lost fair and squarely, which apparently he did not. And he said people will be indicted. He didn't mention, we had talked about some senators, I think, folks who had been elected, in that year not being legitimately elected. He didn't mention
Warnock.
He didn't mention them by name.
No.
But he did mention, Michigan specifically. So we'll see what happens next.
What impressed me the most, and we're going to continue this in a minute on the other side, but what impressed me the most about it, this was not a grievance speech.
No.
He was not out there saying, I actually want, which is what ABC, Disney, ABC tried to turn it into that.
Yeah.
He did not do that. Jonathan Karl should be fired right now, this very minute. And you're going to hear it. I'm going to play all that. But this was not a grievance speech. He was not on there saying, I was screwed in 2020. They took it up. He did not do that, folks. Not even one time did he do that. What he said was, we have to fix this for the future.
Yeah.
If we're going to have a future as a country, we have to fix this. He was not mad about him losing in 2020 and having the election stolen from him. That was not it at all. This was, guys, if you don't fix this now, you won't have a country because China is screwing around with your election. So is Russia.
Yeah.
So is North Korea. We got to go, but we'll continue in a minute. Okay, BG products in your vehicle. I've been telling you all week with this rain, and if you've gone through high water, and who hasn't this week, Now that it's going to begin to dry out, and next week it's going to be hot and dry and sunny, take your car in to have your oil changed. And when you do that, ask them to add the BG products. There's a couple of them that I really push really hard. Now, they have all kinds of products, but the MOA goes inside the crankcase, and it's a lubrication process that binds itself to the parts inside the engine, okay? So that'll help lubricate the inside of your engine. Also, and that means if you got some water in there or whatever, this can be helpful for that. But the other one is their fuel system cleaner. And after a rain like this, you definitely want to have your fuel system cleaned out with BG. Cleans out the lines. It'll help clean out the filter. It'll help. It cleans out the injectors that may have some crap in there from driving through water, and then it'll lubricate the top side of the engine. So I highly recommend that after you've been through high water. And who didn't go through high water this week? So wherever you have your oil change, they can do it for you. They can add the BG. If you want to find out more about it, just log on to their website at bgfindashop.com.
Hi, Trey Ware here. If you have pain and limited movement, you're not
Okay, Friday, as if you couldn't tell already. Do it again, son. Mm-hmm. You do turn me on at 6:34 KTSA. All right, so we're watching the Guadalupe to see what it's going to do the rest of the day. If you live along the Guadalupe, just be aware of what's going on. If you travel 281 and you're near the Guadalupe, you want to be aware of that as well. And the same thing is true with the other rivers out to our west. Just be alert of all that and what's going on. That one area near Dry Creek in Uvalde, they got almost 30 inches of rain in that one spot because once it set up on Tuesday, it just didn't move. It just kept raining and raining and raining and raining and raining and raining and raining again. Now it's moved off up to San Angelo and points west, and it's going to continue to go off west. And I'm not going to get into how all this happens with the lower level jet stream between 1,000 and 6,000 feet and all. I'm not going to get into all that because it's just, unless you're a weather geek, you didn't. Who cares? It just got wet.
Got really wet. Yes.
That's all you need to know. President Trump gave a significant speech last night, and Sean did a video kind of breaking it down, and all that stuff is on our Facebook page, and he just broke it down in the last quarter as well. But I want to go ahead and play some of the sound, and then people that I highly respect who broke it down in terms to show you just how serious this is. First of all, we'll start with China.
Of concern. First, they show that over a period of years, starting during the 2020 election cycle, the People's Republic of China carried out what is believed to be the largest compromise of election data in history, resulting in China's illicit acquisition of 220 million U.S. voter files. That information includes names, addresses, phone numbers, political party preferences, and other sensitive data that would be needed to register to vote and engage in other nefarious activities, which is exactly what was happening.
Okay, now I'm going to have somebody explain that in just a second. But to show you how our media allegedly being paid by China to write stories.
Apparently, yeah.
The paid actors, as I've called them for a long time, how they handled this last night on ABC, okay, sticking with the China thing, right? How significant is it that China has your info? They have your info.
Mary,
this is ABC Pierre Thomas.
Some of the dominant points. As you point out, he is claiming that China was able to get access to voter registration information about millions of Americans, hundreds of millions of Americans. What we don't yet know is whether they were able to do anything with that information. There is no evidence that they were, again, able to change the outcome of votes.
Now, that's Pierre Thomas on ABC, who is just kind of going, it's not a big deal. China's got all your information. And there were actually people on these networks who were saying, well, that information is readily available anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Let me, and we're going to get to why this is a big deal. But here's Jonathan Karl on ABC, who should be fired right now, but they won't.
The president made some extraordinary allegations. I mean, he said that our election system, our security is catastrophically short. It dangerously exposed to hacking. When you have no trust, there is no greatness, and we can't trust our election systems. But looking through these, we have a lot more to look through. I don't see anything that comes anywhere near making that case. What I see is.
Now, did you hear what he said? But are you paying attention to him? He said, now, I just started looking through this. I got a lot more to look through, but I don't see anything that would indicate that.
Documents presented that are intended to raise doubts about our security, but nothing that suggests there is actually a security issue with.
Well, instead of some jerk on ABC who's just flying out of his rear end.
Right.
Let me go to somebody who I know both of us respect. I love her to death, and I have followed her career since she was on Fox. She went to CBS, had that big blow-up at CBS where they grabbed her files and her information.
Oh, right.
And now she's an independent. Her name is Catherine Herridge. Remember Catherine Herridge?
Yes, I do.
Nobody is a better journalist on the planet today than Catherine Herridge.
I got a lot of respect for her.
She is an incredible journalist. She has been following this, investigating this for years. And here's what she said, and why this part of this story is so important.
Well, I think it's a very significant announcement, not only what he said, but the fact that they are releasing these documents so that we can really fact check the claims we heard this evening. I've been digging into the documents already, and I found this November 2020 email. And it specifically states, it's a conversation among intelligence officials. It specifically states that they have, quote, deliberately massaged one of our pending PDBs, that's the president's daily brief, to avoid any direct links to the election. And that is consistent with my reporting. I understand the whistleblower complaint alleged, and I think we're now seeing it in the emails, that there was an intentional effort to suppress intelligence about China's influence operations. And this was, Katie, like a massive effort, what they call a multi-domain operation. That means trade, it means diplomacy, it means open source information, it means social media. So all the levers of power China had to influence the U.S. election.
Influence the U.S. election. Go ahead, because I got more. Go
I just
ahead.
want to drop this in.
Yeah.
Also, remember, as they're commenting, now her reporting's great, but you played Jonathan Karl. ABC, NBC, and CNN did not actually carry the speech itself.
Right. They did not.
No.
They refused to.
Yeah, but then they commented on it.
And then he said later on, we need to take a look at their licenses because they're not not carrying through with their duties. And he is correct, by the way.
Yeah.
She now goes into why this is important.
So in the summer of 2020, as we're heading into the election, in the intelligence community, there were indicators of this Chinese influence operation. Influence operations means that you're trying to affect the outcome of how people vote or their sentiment about a presidential candidate.
Now, follow this closely, guys, because remember when Pierre Thomas on ABC, I just played him, Pierre Thomas said, well, there's no indication that they were influencing the outcome of the election. Let Catherine break it down for you.
Affect the outcome of how people vote or their sentiment about a presidential candidate. It's different than an interference operation, which is penetrating voting rolls and voter systems. And this whistleblower was raising the alarm about the influence operation, and then suddenly it all was suppressed. My understanding is that some of their reports, there were in officials' own handwriting that they wanted everything out that could help President Trump in his reelection. So there was clear evidence of political and personal bias, and intelligence is supposed to be neutral.
So bottom line is China was running an influence operation. What the others were saying was that, well, there was no tampering with machines. Nobody got into the machines and looked around to see what was going on inside the machines. Well, you don't have to when you're running an influence operation, which is what China was running. First of all, again, you and I believe they came up with COVID. And COVID was something that locked everybody up at home, so they would do, cheat by mail. But the other thing that they were doing at the same time, they were running an influence operation against President Trump.
Yeah.
People within our own government, in the intelligence communities, they knew that, and they refused to put that in the daily briefing to the president. They specifically removed that. Go ahead.
No, yeah, he said that last night. He said, I wasn't told. The president wasn't informed. Nobody was informed. They kept it undercover. So, every American, I don't care what letter you have after your name, every American should be just filled with rage over this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
No, you're good. Yeah. No, I needed the moment.
Let me keep talking.
No, you're fine.
But I mean, and again, the extent, because you're right, it's about influence. Okay, you don't have to tamper with the machines if you've already convinced people not to vote for the man.
Correct. As far as tampering with the machines, and I will find it here in a minute because I've got a piece about machine tampering.
Remember, Mike Lindell brought up questions about this, and he got his phone taken.
The FBI went after him.
Yeah.
Merrick Garland should be in jail for what he did with the FBI and the Department of Justice.
Didn't they drop the charges about that lawsuit?
They did, but it cost him millions.
But for Lindell, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But, Jimmy, you're right.
What was the name of that company?
The machine company.
Yeah,
I can't remember
Dominion.
now. Dominion.
Thank you.
Yes.
But the reason I stopped for a minute was they changed their name. They went to like Freedom Machines. But listen to this guy. Okay,
Right.
This was on CNN, and then we'll have to take a break. But
Sure.
Listen to what he's saying about machines and why this is so important that we go to paper ballots. This guy is in this business. And he's all about AI.
I don't think the president left any gray area or area for interpretation. This was about get, save, pass. That was the last thing he said.
This is Mark Lepresti, CEO of a strategy company that works in AI, okay? And this is his comments about these machines.
But let me just address some of what you said, Brian. It is a different era now than it was in 18 or in 20. This massively different. I sit on the advisory board of 2 quantum cybersecurity companies. I know something about this. AI and the threat of hacking using modern AI technology has made all of our systems, both public and private, more vulnerable than they have ever been. We know it's been proven, both by our own intelligence agencies as well as the private sector, that China has been data farming, harvesting data, both public and private, from the United States, from U.S. citizens, data they cannot even access yet until their cyber techniques enable them to do so. It is a different threat today than it was in 2020 and 2018, and that's part of why the president was so forward-looking. We didn't hear the moaning and complaining and kvetching, if you will, to use a very New York term, about what happened in the past. This was raising alarms about what could happen in the future.
That's what I just mentioned a couple of seconds ago. Let me just say one more thing, and then I'll let you rip. When he's talking about these machines at AI, we have all seen how AI can create people.
Yes.
And how AI can steal your identity. So you show up at the polls and you got your voter registration card or your ID and you're ready to vote, and they look down and go, well, Mr. Rima, you already voted.
Right.
And you go, hell, I did.
You have to disprove that you didn't already vote.
Correct.
Prove that you already didn't vote.
They look at their data, and China done hacked a machine with AI, and they done showed by I'm talking like a country boy, but they already showed.
You are a country boy.
Yeah, well, that's right.
They showed something.
They showed on here that China got in the machine and already registered a vote for Sean Rima, and you ain't been at the polls yet.
Yeah, and you're right. I mean, it's pretty bad, the extent to which they were doing this. But you go back, let's go back to the idea that the way this was characterized by people who didn't even carry the speech on their own networks is exactly what you just said. Trump won't let it go. I got personal messages from liberal folks I know back east who were like, he just can't let it go, can he? It's old news. Like, you're not listening. Because he did not make it personal at all.
Nothing
last
about him.
night.
Nothing about him.
No, it wasn't there. It didn't happen. It was all about, elections coming up in the future. If you don't do something about this now, okay, this is going to get worse and worse, specifically because of AI, in my opinion.
One more thing. We got a break.
Sure.
We could do this. I told you we could do this all day.
We could, yeah.
But one more thing. I just had you listen to ABC and the way that they positioned that. CBS did the same thing.
Yeah.
This was not a big deal. The president, actually, when they came on, they said he lied, and then they went about fact-checking him, okay? So we talk about this every day, how if you are watching nothing but ABC, CBS, NBC, and CNN, they are telling you a completely different story. Why? Because I believe, personally, that they are on the take at these networks. They're being paid. And the president said, China's been paying these people a lot of money. I've been calling for years. I've been calling them paid actors sitting. That's why I bring up the Don Henley thing.
Oh, sure,
Bubble-headed bleach blonde, right? So that's what he brought that up last night. I firmly believe that's what they're doing. So if you listen to what they did last night, they said, oh, this is no big deal. But yet you listen to somebody like Catherine Herridge, and she breaks it down and goes, yeah, it's a big deal. This is how it's a big deal.
And again, it also illustrates why they didn't air it. Because if they'd let people, the same people who get their news solely from ABC or CNN, didn't see the freaking speech, but they heard the commentary that it's all lies.
See, that's it. That's exactly right. That's exactly it. Because if they showed it unfiltered and unedited, they would have had a totally different story than with Jonathan Karl and Pierre Thomas and the rest of them, Major Garrett and the rest of them. Let's listen to the president briefly, and then we'll break.
Good evening. Before we begin, I'm proud to report that.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was the wrong one came up. I don't know how that happened. Anyway, I'm going to play that a little bit later on. He went in after ABC and NBC and the rest of them. It switched on me. But
he called them out directly.
Right to their face through that camera, and we'll get to that a little bit later on. Ware and Rima, KTSA drying out. Chance of a shower this morning. Sun and clouds later on with a high of 90. Sunny tomorrow and Sunday, 92 and 94. Right now, 78 KTSA. Get down. Jungle Boogie. I like old Cool in the Gang, man.
Funky Friday, man.
It's Cool in the Gang. Hit it, boys. Do it. Remind me to tell you about Jimothy.
Jimothy.
Yeah.
I will remind you to tell me about Jimothy.
Yeah, I want to tell you about
That's
Jimothy.
an interesting name.
You need to know about Jimothy.
Jimothy. Nice. No, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Yeah, I got to tell you all about him.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, is it me?
Yeah.
Oh, it is me. I'm so sorry.
You're on.
I'm like, well, let's do some more floods. No, the other thing I watched because we're kind of ping-ponging back and forth between the coverage.
Right.
And the news story. I watched some of the second day of the confirmation hearings in the Senate for Todd Blanche. Yesterday was witness testimony day.
Yes, it was.
And you had some Epstein victims.
Yeah.
I think you know why that's happening. Cory Booker was going off on that, and they're. Why didn't you didn't? When will you sit and have a meeting with these people? Will you? Why have you? Do you want a meeting with Todd Blanche today? We'll make it happen today. He's going to sit right next to you and talk to you. Todd Blanche said yesterday, I can't do it. I got to talk to their lawyer. If they have a lawyer, I can't talk to them directly.
And that's correct.
He already answered that question.
That is correct.
We also had, though, John Ashcraft, our former Attorney General. He was there pro Blanche, obviously. But I think the most powerful testimony that I saw was from the angel mom. Let me get her name here. My notes. Where is it here? Jennifer Boss, who lost her daughter Megan in Illinois. That was probably the most powerful testimony, and she was pro-Blanche and said, during the Biden years, we couldn't get anybody to talk to us. My daughter was stuffed upside down in a garbage can about a house property, just down right next, not too far from where they lived. She was very emotional. She's doing what Jessica Gorman had done about a week ago, which is this could be talking to them, her inquisitors. This could have been your daughter. This could be your child. This could be you. It could happen to anybody. And I thought that was very powerful. And she said Todd Blanche, has since he was Deputy Attorney General, Acting Attorney General, he has been getting these people out of here. We've heard from the department. Very emotional, though, when she started describing, held up a charm bracelet that her daughter had that had a lot of memories on it. And she was saying, now I'm going to have to remember these stories to tell her daughter, my granddaughter. Very powerful stuff. It was very powerful. Yeah, sorry. I mean, it's the truth of it. And I thought her testimony was the most effective. While the others are screaming about Epstein, which, as you know, Trey, when it was Clinton's Epstein, when the rumors were first flying about Epstein, they didn't want to touch Epstein.
Right.
Now they can't shut up about it, but they don't want anything to do with these angel families.
Well, and here's the thing. I'll say it again. They are an accessory, meaning everybody in that administration that had anything to do with our border, from the border czar, Kamala Harris, to Alejandro Mayorkas and the rest of them, that intentionally, 100% on purpose, opened our southern border. Forget about the northern border just a minute. Opened our southern border to criminals and prison inmates from foreign countries and flew them in here on airplanes that we paid for. Every one of these people are an accessory to those murders.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, Jennifer Boss, I'd forgotten this part of her case. The guy they arrested, who is alleged to have killed her daughter and shoved her into a garbage pail, was released that day.
See?
After he was arrested.
See?
That day. So I thought that was very effective, but, you had to wallow in the Epstein crap. One of Biden's lawyers was there, and Josh Hawley kind of got into it with her. So, I obviously no Democrat is going to vote for his confirmation. I don't know how you felt about it, about the testimony, but I did think her testimony, I thought Ashcroft's testimony was pretty good.
I got some of that sound. We'll get to that later because when Adam Schiff went after him.
Yes, he did.
But seriously, I'll say it again, when we began this early in the week, no Democrat's going to vote for him, and it's not about him.
It's not about him at all.
If a different president were sitting there, they would approve him. It's not about him. It's about Donald Trump. As I said earlier in the week, and this sounds really extraordinary, but I believe it to be true, Donald Trump could nominate Barack Obama and put him in that chair, and the Democrats would find a reason to not vote for Barack Obama because it's Donald Trump.
You're absolutely right. They would. You're right. Yeah. They would find a way. You know what I mean?
What did you
Mr.
say?
Obama, why didn't you do anything about Epstein?
No, what you said 2 days ago when I brought that up, you said, Mr. Obama, when did you quit being Mr. Obama?
Yeah, right. They laid that trip on Todd Blanche.
Right. All right.
God, what a bunch of crap.
More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA.
The Orange has evolved. Our team's been
what's been going on there. The Guadalupe crested in comfort the highest level since 1900. And that includes 98. We all remember 98, right? Everybody who was here. And then, of course, the tragedy of last year. So this was historic, what we saw this week. But incredibly, only 2 deaths. And I know that sounds horrible saying only 2 deaths, and I don't mean it that way to cheapen any life at all. But it was so incredible last year with 25 kids and everything that happened last year. That the sirens that went off in Kerrville, the early planning and early warning from the media. I mean, we started talking about this thing Monday morning right away and said, this is going to be 2002 all over again with the training and everything that's going on. And sure enough, it was even worse than that. You had a 74-year-old man in Uvalde who was washed away in his car. And then in Kerr County, in Kerrville, you had a 65-year-old man. His entire mobile home was washed away. And he was trying to get out of it, and he couldn't get out of it. Some roads are still going to be closed. You've got they call them low water crossing, but obviously because of high water, and a lot of the places are closed. We had, in Kerrville, we had over 20 inches of rain in Kerrville. And if you think that's bad, Uvalde near Canepa, we had nearly 30 inches of rain. Man. So this is biblical. There's some evacuations in Bandera. There's a mandatory evacuation in Comal County, Spring Branch along the Guadalupe, and they opened up Spring Branch Middle School. People are there, as a matter of fact, right now. The Guadalupe rose 32 feet in 1 hour.
That's
yesterday.
Hard to believe, man. It's amazing.
And it crested at Spring Branch at 37 feet, and now we're starting to see this stuff go down. And I mentioned this earlier this morning that the Canyon Lake, all that water from the Guadalupe is headed right to Canyon. It goes down through that recharge area there off of 306, if you're familiar with that area. And Elaine, you are, because you know that area very well too. As of yesterday afternoon, Canyon was still 17 feet low. And I can't remember the last time we had a full canyon. I think back to my days skiing on Canyon Lake almost every weekend in the 70s and early 80s, and it was full then. But we haven't, since then, we really haven't had a full Canyon Lake, and I think this is going to go a long way to filling it up.
Right.
And Medina Lake, I mean, you think about Medina going up as many feet as his head, and we'll get a count on Medina Lake here in a minute. But that's Christian Blood you hear clearing his throat. He's been in Kerrville covering where all this, the mass of water for the Guadalupe began was right there where he is, and even a little bit further to the west in Hunt. So how are things this morning, Christian?
Well, I'm clearing my throat, Trey, because I'm drinking coffee I brewed at home, and I'm doing that because we have electricity.
Oh, excellent. I was going to ask you how you're doing.
Finally.
Well, it's funny because I heard Jack Riccardi. I want to drag him into this right quick, like 2 years ago, a completely different topic, but he Jack can give these expressions that just make you sit back and think for a minute, and you go, you know what? He's right. And the expression went something like, civilization is not guaranteed. And so what we experienced yesterday, as I get to the point here, is that when you think you're making the right call because you got tornado situations, my son noticed tornado warnings in that Uvalde area that we saw the last 2 mornings. He was so uneasy over the weather. He was up as my wife had fallen asleep. I'm asleep pretty early anyway. He woke me up. And so we thought, well, you know what, we better make a move because I don't want to go toe-to-toe in the middle of the night. We go to the Kerrville parking structure, big cement thing. That's when we discovered that not only did we have the tornado threat, but we had a massively swollen Guadalupe River that looked exactly like it did just over a year ago. And then it didn't take long before we realized that the flooding this time wasn't just isolated to the river. We already knew earlier that morning, San Antonio had a tornado drop in the rim. Bernie, talk about flooding. Trey used the term biblical. My goodness. And so with all the electricity out, you start to realize it's like, whether it be, Mother Nature in some cases, or sometimes just the acts of mankind, things you take for granted every day can be gone in an instant, and then you got a whole new issue on your hands. So far so good today.
Those of us who were here 3.5 years ago in the big snow know exactly what you're talking about, because most of us lost power and so many other things during that big snow 3.5 years ago, and so on it goes. All right, Christian, thank you. We're going to check with you a little bit later on, and we'll just keep checking with him every hour this morning. And we'll have a live report from Father Moses, or Noah, who has been standing by, waiting to tell us if the if the bird has returned with the olive branch yet, because wow, this was one of those times, man.
I think biblical is the proper term. I mean, as far as describing the scope of what we're talking about, because we are talking about 500-year flood. We are talking about, last year was bad, and I was going to ask Christian. I want to, about the folks he's interacting with. Where, these are people who are still recovering from last year, and now here we are, and again, at levels that we haven't seen in centuries, literally.
I did talk to some people up there yesterday who told me that it's so much better now. Much better now than it was last year, because last year they felt like they were completely unprepared and uninformed.
I was going to say they're prepped. They were ready for it. I mean,
right. And so we had the sirens that were just installed. The sirens did go off. They also we had been on the media talking about, man, this is coming, this is coming, this is coming. Social media lit up with this as well. My friend Steve Brown, who's a former meteorologist here. Well, he's a meteorologist now, but he's not on media. But he started posting on his webpage, one of the smartest guys in the world when it comes to this kind of stuff. And he was talking about how, okay, this is what's going to happen, guys. Prepare yourself for this and this and the stages and the blah, 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 and this is going to last on any number of days. So with that kind of information that got out there, and people took heed and they listened to it and paid attention and said, okay, yeah, okay. I think we've kind of learned you don't mess around with this.
No, you don't mess around with it. I mean, emotionally, too. You keep hearing PTSD and people who went through this last year and, much better prepared. And, obviously they've been hardened to this kind of an experience. But you just wonder, still, it's got to be, it's a perfect year since last year. It's got to be pretty rough on emotionally, I would think. Of course. Yeah.
And so he was mentioning Jack, one of Jack's questions earlier in the week, and he asked Bill Taylor this. And then he asked it, I think, as a JR poll or something, was what about this whole, as a weather guy and as a media person, there's got to come in at some point whether you're crying wolf, because you say this enough times and it doesn't happen, and people go, okay, here's another time you're trying to scare me into something that's not going to happen, and that's the time it happens.
People get cynical.
And I don't remember how he put it, but it was very eloquent, as Jack always is. And I can't remember exactly how it was, but that's the gist of it. And the way I look at it, guys, if people in the media that you trust, and certainly weather guys like Bill Taylor and Steve Brown, these others that you trust, Chris Shushan over at 4, guys like that you trust, when they start talking about something, I would just personally me, I would err on the side of caution and not have something happen, rather than err on the side of, well, I ain't going to worry about that. And then, next thing I know, I'm in a car floating down the freaking Pedernales.
Absolutely.
You know what it's like when they're doing their weather and they predict, we might have 15-20% chance of rain. And it never happens.
Right.
And everyone's so cynical. They're saying, those guys are never right. They can never get it right.
Absolutely.
I grew up with the joke, the old weather guy joke, that it's the only job where you can be wrong 90% of the time and still keep your job. I mean, people get cynical, but
that 10% is what's going to grab your butt.
10% is what when your house is going to go floating down the road.
And that's the deal. Nancy and I laugh all the time because I'm one of these guys that I'd rather have it and not need it.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So I over-prepare. Like I take 3 extra pair of underwear when we travel. So, if we're going somewhere for 7 days, I got 10 pair because I'd rather have it and not need it. You know what I mean?
Right.
I can always bring that clean underwear back home. Why are you looking at me like that? What did I do?
Big switch from underwear to flood.
Well, on occasion.
Since I brought that up, this is a good place. Let's just have a little levity here.
Go camo, and then you don't have to worry about any underwear.
There you go.
Ew.
This is entirely too much to talk about underwear.
But I do want to talk. I do want to talk about our porta potty guy.
Oh yes.
Oh God.
God bless him.
What now?
I have more info on the porta potty man.
Do you
remember this story?
Graham.
From yesterday?
Not Plattner.
Okay, so
Not Plattner, right?
No.
Okay.
No, this is.
Oh, the guy got stuck in the porta potty.
Yes, remember I told you about that.
I immediately think of Plattner when I hear porta potty.
Of course.
I'm damaged. It's stuck in my brain.
I have more details.
Yes.
I dug into the story.
You dug into it. Yes.
Kansas City is where this story's from. So those of you who didn't hear me talk about this yesterday, there was a guy who was caught in a porta potty, and the fire department had to come out and cut him out of the porta potty. And then they took their fire hose and they had to wash him off, obviously.
Yeesh.
So I found out why and what happened. So the people who own the porta potty company, it was after a big event, and all of them that are lined up, they go down through there the next morning after the event, and they make sure nobody's in there, so that then they load them on the truck and they haul them off. So they're going down there knocking on the doors, and they open up. Okay, this one's empty. This one's empty, and they come to a closed and locked porta potty door, and they knock on it, and nobody answers. So they stood there for a few minutes, knocked on it again. Hey, anybody in there? Nobody answers. But it's locked from the inside. So then a cop rides by on his motorcycle. They flag, and the cop knocks on the door. Hey, Kansas City Police, anybody in there? No answer. So then finally the porta potty guys, they open the lock, look in there, and there's nobody in there. They're just about to walk off, and a head pops up out of the... And the guy goes, I'm in here! So
I'm in here.
Exactly. So they cut him out. They cut the thing where you sit. They cut that open so he could get out. What happened was he dropped his Mountain Dew bottle of Mountain Dew down into poo. So he went into poo to get his Mountain Dew.
Why?
And he got stuck because he was bigger than the hole. His body was, so he couldn't get out, and he was in there for 8 hours.
Over a mountain.
But is he upside down? Is he head down?
No, because he stuck his head up out of the thing where the seat is, and he goes, I'm in here, but all they saw was a head.
I think he went feet first, right?
Did he have Don Perignon in that Mountain Dew bottle?
I think he reached down in there to get it, and then he fell in and then turned himself around. And he was in there for 8 hours, so he had plenty of time to turn around. And then when they looked in there, he poked his head up.
That'd be a little shocking.
There's just a head.
Hey, dudes. I'm here. Let the Mountain Dew go next time, buddy.
A Mountain Dew, how much is it? How much is a Mountain Dew?
It's a Red Bull, maybe, but, a Mountain Dew.
What did I tell you?
Yeah,
what did I tell you?
We were talking about this. Elaine and I were talking about this. This is the commercial, man.
Oh, yeah.
You'll go through so much stuff just to get a Mountain Dew.
Just get this guy on camera. I crawled through crap at a porta potty for my Mountain Dew because
y'all are missing the obvious joke.
Diet?
Okay, give it to me.
Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No. I thought the billboard would say, I crawled through poo to get a Mountain Dew.
There you go.
That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
At least
better.
it wasn't Skittles.
You like
Taste
that?
the rainbow.
All right.
I don't know. It's kind of turning me off the Mountain Dew in general.
We'll come back in a minute, maybe. Ware and Rima, KTSA. Going to be drying out with a chance of showers this morning and then sun and clouds later today. High of 90. Sunny tomorrow and Sunday, 92 and 94. 77 now, KTSA. Bell. Come on, girl. Let me have it. Do it. Now, that's the original. That's the original.
Wow.
I do, yeah. 7:23. What's up, Mr. Rima?
I just smeared my Moulin Rouge. Get it?
Stop
anyway.
it. Stop it.
Well, a couple of stories. First off, the governor of New Jersey did not lower the flag at half-mast for Lindsey Graham.
Neither
I think in
did
New York, Hochul did the same thing.
And Virginia.
It's just bad behavior. You're just being a-holes. You know what I mean?
And again, you're not winning anybody to your case.
No, you sure aren't. I don't. We keeping it light right now, just for a few minutes. We'll get back into talking about the flood
Have a good
stuff.
time. Have some fun.
But Caroline Leavitt is back, from maternity, and she announced yesterday that the president will be in attendance to the final game with the World Cup. That's soccer, right?
Yeah.
On Sunday, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to hand I imagine, the cup.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like, because this is all about a big cup, right? A big gold cup.
A big cup and a jock strap.
A big cup and a jock strap. And I don't know about the jock strap. We're still waiting on confirmation from that, but he'll be handing over
You got to have that to hold the cup.
The cup to the people. And I just want to say, for all us non-soccer fans, holy crap, I'm glad this is coming to an end. I'm going to get my living room back, which will be nice.
It goes way too long.
James is telling me that it starts up again.
Yeah.
The baseball,
Next
the
week.
season ends after the World Series, and you got to wait months and months and months.
No, you're getting things crisscross, sir.
Crisscross. What happened?
The club leagues, La Liga, Spain, they start up like 2 weeks after the World Cup.
What are club leagues?
In about a week.
That's the same thing as a baseball team, Sean, like the Texas Rangers.
Well, who are the guys playing now?
They're
club
playing
leagues?
for their country. That's why it's the World Cup, you simpleton.
I don't follow the soccer.
Well, just follow the viewership numbers and how well it's been received here in the United States.
All of my liberal friends message me, you know that everybody on the planet loves soccer except for Americans, and you're just being an ugly American because you don't like soccer because everybody else in the world likes soccer. Like, I don't care. I'm glad. I'm glad for people who love World Cup stuff and all the coverage.
But our country looks.
It's been weeks and weeks.
Our country looks so good for a month worldwide. We have never had any better publicity than this World Cup.
Oh, I think it's great. I mean, I love the people who came here.
Yeah.
And saw how full of crap our media are as far as how they describe this country. That was fun.
Well, wait a minute.
Watching people smuggling ranch,
wait a minute.
Back to Norway.
Since you mentioned Caroline Leavitt.
We look forward to the final match on Sunday, and I know the president looks forward to attending, but I think the world saw that this president and this country is able to put on the greatest show in sports in the world. And
what international soccer is, and they really are forcing it down our throats in America. It's the most un-American sport. Completely
Why
and
is
totally.
that?
It's just this is an international foreigner sport, and what they're trying to do is make us buy off on this piece of crap sport.
Damn foreigners!
So
it's a communist plot.
That's right. So that we become part of the one world, man. This is supposed to be the one world sport. Hell, it is. NASCAR racing is the one world sport. It's the national sport of the United States of America. And who cares about these boys out there kicking balls? I do that when I fight somebody.
Oh, my God. You kick them in the balls? Daily. You fight dirty like that? Holy crap, Trey.
So there you go. NASCAR racing, that's the national sport of America.
NASCAR sponsors would ditch in a second if they could get on the World Cup sponsorship. Ditch them in a second.
No.
I'm going to go home and watch some boring-ass baseball tonight. I like boring-ass baseball.
I like Dick Trickle.
You like what?
I like Dick Trickle. Dick Trickle would drive a race car, smoking a cigarette, drinking a cup of coffee while he was driving a race car. Now, that's Dick Trickle right there.
Now, that's America.
That's America.
Right there.
That ain't some damn foreigner kicking balls.
That may be true, but he is in serious need of a name change. I'll give him that. I mean, it's
a perfect name. Dick Trickle? That was his real name.
Well, yeah, if you
that's his real name.
Work at a public clinic. You work for Big Pharma and you sell antibiotics?
He literally had. He only drove with the open face helmet. He never would wear that full face.
Really?
And he had a cigarette lighter installed in his race cars because that's not a feature in a race car.
I'm shocked. You can't smoke in a car in NASCAR anymore?
He would put that cigarette in there and light it while he was racing. Smoke a cigarette while he was racing.
NASCAR won't let you smoke a cigarette while you drive?
Now you can. No, you can
Dick
if you
Trickle
pull it off.
did.
Oh,
No,
okay.
Dick Trickle did.
You guys were talking about that yesterday.
You can look him up on YouTube. Dick Trickle smoking while racing.
Don't use a company computer, though.
You had a guy that used to work on your race car that would smoke.
That's right, Charlie. Would smoke while he was filling a race car up with fuel.
Well, I was just making sure NASCAR didn't go liberal and woke and say no cigarettes in the car.
All those pansies that drive now, man, Bubba Wallace and all them, man, they don't know what a cigarette or a cup of coffee or even a shot of tequila is.
When I started in this man's radio business, I had an ashtray right on the board,
exactly
baby, right on the board.
That's right. And that's why they're all dead.
I'm still alive, but you're right. The rest of them are. All the guys I started with.
Coming back, more Ware and Rima, KTSA. Friday to get your weekend started right. The Ohio players love roller coaster, mama. All right, boys, let me hear it. Say what? So, in this song, After the Bridge, there's a screaming woman in the background. And they dubbed her in there to make it sound like a woman on a roller coaster screaming, right? That's why they did it, but then they put out an urban legend about it, and a lot of people are nodding their heads because they remember this from 1976 when it came out. The urban legend was that was just outside the studio door. A woman had been attacked.
What?
Yes.
That's crazy.
It wasn't true.
No, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't true, but that's what they put out. Okay, so before we get into the president's stuff, just get you an update on everything with the flood and all that. Stuff's running downhill, but it seems to be doing all right so far. The Guadalupe River is absolutely full, and it's got a lot of debris in it, and it's moving its way toward Canyon Lake. Canyon Lake is still 17 feet down as of last night, so it's got a ways to go, and this water is going to go a long way to filling up Canyon Lake. It would not surprise me if we have a full Canyon Lake by the end of the weekend. It wouldn't surprise me. And it's been a long time since Canyon Lake has been full. In fact, I have a number here. It's up. Let me see where that is. It is 73. It's at 78% full now. As of yesterday, it was at 58% full. 78% full now. So, yeah, I think 100% full is within the realm of possibility.
Right.
So, people who enjoy Canyon Lake and enjoy boating on Canyon Lake and the other things, you're really going to have a good run there. And then once they start to let some of that out down through River Road, and like I said, River Road has just been beautiful this year. Plenty of water, I think, and now you're going to get some more. So that's all going to be positive, beneficial, certainly different than it was July 4th of last year. With the warnings that we had this time, the sirens that went off, everybody paid close attention, and it was just we're getting through it okay. They did have mandatory evacuations up in Spring Branch. Spring Branch Middle School is where everybody went last night. David is sending me a note right now, my friend from Airport Security Park. He comes in 281 every day. He said, it's like it never happened. The lake is way up. It'll be full by Monday. That's what I was just saying. And he said, have a good weekend. So he came down 281, which had been closed because water was over at the Guadalupe River Bridge, and now it's okay. So he got through just fine. He said it doesn't even look like anything ever happened.
Right.
So we're blessed with all that, man. We came through all that really, really well. The people out west in Uvalde and all those places there, a little bit of different story in that they have. Well, Kerrville's okay, but out west of us on Highway 90, you get to Uvalde and those areas. Some of them received almost 30 inches of rain. So think about that. And again, biblical is the word I've been using, and it's covered Uvalde. If you go to my X account, you'll see drone footage of Uvalde, and it's underwater.
It is. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
And I talked to a friend of mine, Dan Eason, who is a businessman in Uvalde. I've known him for probably 30 years, and Dan said, our businesses are okay. They're on a little bit higher place. But the rest of town, if you go downtown, it's just underwater. And some of the TV stations have been out there showing that stuff as well. So obviously our prayers are with the people in Uvalde and Canepa and Quihee and all those areas out there that just got inundated. And it came all the way up to Castroville. And Hondo got hit the first few days. It was unbelievable.
I remember seeing video out of Hondo that was pretty disturbing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So all that is receding now. The Guadalupe that got really high in Comfort yesterday. In fact, we hadn't seen this kind of crest in Comfort since 1900.
Yeah.
That's a while ago.
That is a while ago. And just in general, you referenced this just a few minutes ago. One of the things we've been hearing all week is a 500-year flood.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
And we'll be talking about this. Is okay. Let me put this into perspective. Like we still talk about the snow that knocked everything loopy for several days, and we still reference that. That's a point in our lives where we go back and say, remember the snow?
Yeah.
We're going to be doing the same thing with this.
Oh, I agree.
Okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
And the main thing that happened here was the tornado. We had a lot of rain and some of the streets flooded and stuff like that. The main thing that happened here out of this in San Antonio.
That was pretty surreal.
Was the tornado.
That was not too far from where I live.
I heard Jack mention that the national guys, when they talked about it on the air, they were talking about how it was in downtown San Antonio. Downtown.
Right. No, not really.
The
Riverwalk's fine, man.
Yeah, but we really had that's going to be something we're going to reference for a long time.
Sure.
Is how a tornado ripped through the rim. But you know what? How those companies are, they'll have that place back and operating this weekend like nothing ever happened.
Palladium as well, you think?
Well, they'll get a long way. Yeah,
right.
yeah. Because they go out there, and now the Oasis and all that, they got to re-roof that place. And, I'm sure all the trees and stuff are gone by now. They've already picked up all that stuff, stop signs and everything else that got ripped out of there. But on my Facebook page, Megan, I put up a link to a friend of mine named Megan. She's heading up an effort collecting all these items that you're going to need, the gloves and the cleaning supplies and all that the people in Kerrville and on down the line are going to need.
Yeah.
And they're going to Tejas Rodeo, which was underwater as well, and they're going to be doing a collection there. All that information is on my Facebook page if you want to go over there, and it's open to the public. You don't have to be my friend to look at it. It's all public. And you can get all that stuff together if you want to help out.
Cleaning stuff is what they need.
It's big time.
Well, this is a big thing. I mean, last year we needed cleaning stuff and food and clothes and all kinds of stuff, but cleaning stuff this year is pretty much, I think, predominantly what they need.
Absolutely. Now, let's get to the president from last night.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got DHS announcing that in California, New Jersey, Nevada, and Pennsylvania, 4 blue states, and I mean those are blue states, 256,000 non-citizens are registered to vote. 190,000 in California, 35,000 in New Jersey, 15,000 in Nevada, 15,000 in Pennsylvania. And this is what happens and how they're able to do that. If they're here legally, but they're a non-citizen, they got a visa to be here, they get a Social Security number.
Yeah.
And they take that Social Security number and they register to vote. And guess what? They vote in our elections. Now, this is separate from what the president mentioned last night.
Oh, sure.
This is a different number, a separate number. So now the president mentions 278. You're already over 500,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote. Here's the president last night.
Of Homeland Security. According to the DHS review, state voter rolls and public records, they identified approximately 278,000 non-citizens who are registered to vote in federal elections. Since Democrat states refuse to share their voter files, the real number is actually much higher than that. Yet, even this limited analysis found more than 250,000 foreigners illegally registered to vote. Put together, these disclosures reveal an election system so broken and so vulnerable that no one can possibly defend it. It is not defensible. Hundreds of millions of U.S. voter files are in the hands of foreign governments. Our machines and ballot counting systems are exposed to hacking and manipulation and corruption. China and other countries have been trying to meddle in our elections. Evidence of fraud has been buried. Hundreds of thousands of non-citizens and dead people are listed and active on the voter rolls.
And what you hear from Democrats is, well, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. People who aren't citizens never vote in our elections. The hell they don't. And Tom Tillis, who is a rhino of all rhinos, and I put this up on my X account, he gave a speech yesterday on the floor of the Senate, and he is an always never Trumper, okay? And the never Trumpers, like Tom Tillis, he gave this long speech about how, well, you don't have time to implement it now. You don't have the time. You don't have the time to implement this. It takes too much time to implement voter ID now. You don't even have the time to do it. They're the ones. The never Trump Republicans are the ones who sat on this. John Thune, Tom Tillis, people like that sat on this. And we've been saying for a year almost, you better get this done because then you got to do the. And he came up last.
About a year.
And he came up last night. And he goes, "You don't have time to implement this."
It's because of your dumbass.
Right. Guys, you can blame Democrats if you want, and certainly they are to be blamed. But I'm telling you, the people who crap canned the Save America Act are the never Trump Republicans.
Absolutely they are, because the Democrats are never going to vote for it. You know what I mean? In that sense, I don't know why. Well, I do know why. And Trump said it last night, because you want to cheat. There's no other reason why you don't want this. It's because you want to cheat.
Let's let him
as far
say
as the rhinos, They just want the status quo.
Let's let him say it.
Yeah, let's let him.
But most importantly, addressing this crisis of election security demands that Congress must pass the Save America Act. How easy is that to do unless you want to cheat?
That's exactly it. There really is no other argument. You can't make another argument. You either want to cheat or you want to allow cheating to continue for your own purposes. Okay, but nobody who is actually claiming to be working for the American people, who claims to be a public servant, should be arguing against this. Again, the guys over at Breitbart call it a no-brainer. 70 to 80% of all people across the board, whether they're Democrats or Republicans, want this. Okay? Our political leaders are the only people who don't want it. And again, there's only two reasons why you're on that side. Because you actively want the cheat to continue, or you're fine with the cheating continue for your own purposes if you're a rhino.
Now, see, check this out. I'll tell you what those purposes are if you're a rhino, because people go, well, why would never Trump Republicans, why would they want cheating? Because they want President Trump, number one, to be gone.
Right.
Number two, to be neutered. That's the whole point of a never Trump Republican. They don't want this guy. Don't think for 1 second because they have an R behind their name that they support President Trump. The never Trump Republicans, like Tom Tillis and John Thune and John Cornyn. Let me say something.
John Cornyn, yes.
Let me say something about John Cornyn. Because we sat here for months and listened to his ads about how much I voted with Donald Trump.
God.
I've been voting for Donald Trump for 95%. I know that I'm a big guy in the border, and I'll vote with Donald Trump. Do you know what he said to Todd Blanche on the very first day? I don't think I can support you. That's John Cornyn.
Right.
Thank God we are delivered from John Cornyn. But here's my point. The reason Republicans, never Trump Republicans, do not want the Save America Act is they want Donald Trump gone. They want him to be impeached. They want him to be impeached. They want him to be removed from office. Or at the very least, Sean, they want a Democrat-controlled House and Senate so that he can be neutered, so he won't be effective for 2 more years. That's what.
And
that's
why would they
do
want that? I mean, I think we kind of go back to something we talk about all the time, and you bring it up in football terms. You got one side of the aisle that really loves being on the defense. They don't have to do anything. All they have to do is bitch and moan. And plus, Trump is going after corruption in government, and how many of those rhino Republicans got their hand in the till there?
A bunch.
You know what I mean? So a lot of it comes down to money. A lot of it comes down to the age-old villains of money and power. Because, again, you can't make a logical reason as to why, or logical argument as to why you're against this. It doesn't exist. A photo ID. You need a photo ID to pretty much get a book out of the library, buy anything, buy a six-pack of beer at the store, get on an airplane. You know, there's no logical argument against it.
Let me support what you just said, because when it comes to President Trump, that's why these rhino Republicans are trying to do this, these never Trump Republicans. Why? Because he is disrupting their system too.
Yeah,
Republicans, the rhino Republicans, how they pad their pockets, he's getting in their business too. They had set up the same type of deal Democrats were doing where they're on the take, right? The only one that wasn't on the take was Lindsey Graham, right?
Yeah,
he had no money when he died.
I would submit to you that, you know, even though we hear from loudmouth Democrats every day and their, you know, just pretty focused disdain for Donald Trump, I would suggest to you some of these Republicans probably hate him even more.
They do,
They
Sean.
just don't talk about it.
They do. Listen to Bill Kristol.
Yeah.
That guy's
Bill's horrible.
He's gone nuts.
Yeah,
he's gone absolutely nuts. And Tom Tillis is the same way. Langford is the same way. Thune is the same way. I could go on and on and on naming these Republicans that hate Donald Trump so much they are willing to allow our elections to be cheated. Back in a minute, more Ware and Rima, KTSA. Drying out with a chance of showers this morning, sun and clouds a little bit later on today, high of 90, sunny tomorrow and Sunday, 92 and 94. 77 now, KTSA. Come on. Give it to me, baby. The king of funk, Rick James. Real quick, Medina Lake. We're seeing some great things happen with Medina Lake. 2 days ago, it was 12% full. Today, it's 23% full.
Oh, wow. Oh,
so
nice.
We haven't had a Medina Lake, and
Right.
a year ago it was only 5% full.
Just a couple of stories. One I've been sitting on for a few days. I think we both got a bunch of stories that we just haven't been able to get to this week with all the coverage. But this was 2 stories. This first one's kind of interesting. It's not a bad story, but it's kind of weird. You got a family that checked into an Airbnb in San Diego.
That's strange, man.
And
that's weird.
Have no connection with the people who own the house. This was a family vacation of some kind. This is early in July. And they go into the Airbnb, and there's a framed photograph, enlargement on the wall, kind of showing a beach scene with people at the beach. It's obviously decorative, in this.
It's a wide shot, so there's a lot of people hanging on the beach.
But they were able to determine. Look, the picture, I guess, looked familiar to them. They were in the picture as kids.
That's
Their dad's
crazy.
there, and what are the odds? Nothing intentional, nothing creepy.
Just
it's just happenstance that they go. The one Airbnb they check into has a picture that they were all in from years before. So that was kind of weird. This is a different kind of story. We have a pizza place in Memphis, Tamboli's Pasta and Pizza. As we know, in Memphis, crime was horrible. I believe Trump rolled in the National Guard to get a handle, assist with local law enforcement to get a handle on the crime. I've never actually been to Memphis. I know you have recently, actually, and crime was bad, and something needed to be done.
I got there right after he rolled them in.
Right.
And, man, their presence was heavy, and you felt safe everywhere you went.
You felt safe everywhere you went.
Everywhere.
Meaning most people, I'm assuming, probably didn't feel very safe in Memphis prior to the National Guard.
It was the murder capital of the world.
Murder capital of the world, an American city. Of all the third world S-holes out there, we had the murder capital of the world in Memphis, Tennessee, which, as you know, culturally is it's beyond description.
I love
the cultural impact of Memphis, Tennessee on America
On
and
the world.
Western civilization in general.
Yeah.
Well, Tamboli's Pasta and Pizza, they had a different take on the National Guard being in Memphis. They claim they are making their customers feel unsafe. And so we had a handful of National Guardsmen show up at Tamboli's Pasta and Pizza, and they turned them away, saying, "We will not serve anyone from the National Guard. It is not the military's job to patrol our streets." And again, their claim is that people actually feel less safe with the National Guard in Memphis, which is a pretty stupid idea. I mean, you're kind of pulling it out of your butt, man. Maybe a couple of hippies are coming up to you and saying, "Oh, look at all these military guys. It's not cool." So that's their stated policy, but a lot of people are making their voices heard, saying these people don't represent us, and that's very insulting to the National Guard and the sacrifice those people sign up for.
I read his quote, and so constitutionally his quote is correct, but here's the problem. The National Guard is not there as the lead policing agency.
They're assisting.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's the word. The Memphis police, they are still the lead on policing, but it was way out of control. It was beyond their capabilities.
Right.
And all Donald Trump has done in D.C. and here, and what he's tried to do in Chicago is say, okay, I'm going to give you some help. I'm going to send these guys in here. They're not policing.
They're not doing the actual policing. No, they're not. They're not arresting people. It's not that.
No. Number one, just their presence. I'll give you another example in the world. There's no safer place that you feel than Israel. And why is that? Because between the ages of 18 and 20, you have to be in the military.
Right.
You have to be in uniform 24/7, and you have to carry your gun 24/7. So you go into a restaurant, you sit down, and you look around the restaurant, all these people got their long guns on in their military garb, man, and you feel really safe. Same is true in these cities. Not because the military is actually there that's doing the policing. That's not what we saw. The Memphis police is what we saw.
Right.
The military frees them up to do their job so they can get it done.
Yeah, and, I'm sure this guy probably thought he was going to win over a bunch of folks. People think he was being a really cool guy. I think it's kind of biting him on the ass, though. I think he's getting much more negative pushback.
I will be there
positive.
in October, and that's the
last
place I'm going to go. Because, like you said, and so rightly, the cultural impact on the world. That's what we did with our 4th of July show in the lounge, was take the music that came from America that we exported to the world, and 90% of it came out of Memphis, Tennessee.
Yeah, it's beyond description, the cultural impact of Memphis, Tennessee, and the fact that we allowed it to become a horrible place to go.
Democrat politicians.
Right. Where do we say this all the time. Name for me the blue city where cutting police budgets combined with draconian gun laws that are anti-constitutional, where does that work? Where is that working?
Thank you.
Let alone look at New York and what he's doing with landlords and people who own property. As far as rent and all that stuff, he's going to make it impossible to be a landlord in a place like New York. But these other policies that they claim are there to protect people against gun violence don't work. They patently don't work, and that's why you need the National Guard to come in and help out
Chicago's
your
a prime
local PD.
example,
Yeah.
and Memphis is a prime example, and D.C. You live there.
Yeah,
all these places are a prime example of where blue policies take over and destroy it. And look what happens when you have a little backstop. You clean it up. I got no problem going. Yeah, we'll break, Jimmy. I have no problem going to Memphis, and I'll probably go every year for the rest of my life now.
Right.
So,
yeah, I mean, a lot of people will. Now that they know it can be safe.
More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA.
Well.
We still have rain out in West Texas. If you're trying to go west on I-10, Sonora, forget about it. Get up to San Angelo, forget about it, because it's raining heavy up there. The whole pattern has shifted off to the west now. So the Guadalupe crested yesterday, 37 feet in the Spring Branch. Before it got there, it was in Comfort. The highest it's been since 1900. 1900. So that's how serious of a situation we went through. Our own Christian Blood, who is our news director, he's been in Kerrville the past couple of days reporting from there for us to let us know what he sees. And so, Kristen, let's start there. Since you now have plenty of daylight, what does it look like up there?
It's still cloudy. If we weren't following it as closely as we were, I can't quite say that we're at a point where we can, look outside and say, hey, let's all go to the park. But if you look at the radar, as you've been talking about most of the morning, we're looking at that big block of thunderstorms in West Texas now. About 24 hours ago, National Weather Service still thought that system could hit our area after what we were already dealing with. And so, if you're awake and you're looking around, it doesn't look much different, except you do have electricity. That's a plus. And, of course, the forecast moving ahead is starting to look pretty good. So
well, and the water is receding really quickly where you are. So the Guadalupe is getting back to some normal numbers now, some attainable numbers. Everything turned out pretty well. We did have 2 deaths, and that's horrible. But considering where we were last year, Sean had a really great question about PTSD and how people are feeling, right?
Well, yeah, we've been hearing about this because, even though obviously people had foreknowledge of this in a much more profound way than they did last year, but a lot of folks are still recovering from last year. And as you talk to folks, Christian, what do you get as the general sense from people in that regard?
Well, I was talking to 2 people in particular that showed up at the parking garage that I was at. We had been there longer. We were there for what we thought was a different reason because of possible tornado concerns. It surprised us that around between 3:30 and 5 a.m., more people started showing up in that garage, and we came to find out pretty quick that they had been evacuated. As we were doing the math in the darkness, figuring that, boy, the river's way up, and so were other areas. So one lady I spoke with, I don't remember if I had her on the air or not, we were talking about the fact that as you drive around Kerrville, you're still going to see a number of businesses, many residences that still have those big green ribbons on their mailboxes, maybe on trees, front doors, businesses. You've heard the expression Hill Country Strong. Well, they have not forgotten about that. So, Sean, to echo what you were saying, I think the rain totals are going to be a surprise, especially if you get out to West Texas. But for this community, people were very on guard. And I think, I haven't talked to everybody today, but I think everyone feels very fortunate that we're not looking at a death toll like what we did last year. But it is still that mindset. If one of us is hurting, everybody's hurting because there's still a lot of fresh wounds up here.
Well, the rain totals for you guys up there is right at 20 inches, and that's just amazing. That's a biblical number, and the same is true. You get down to Canepa and Uvalde, and between there, Dry Creek and some other places, we had like almost 30 inches in those areas, and they're still underwater there. But you guys, I mean, your streets are getting back to normal now. The water's receding.
Yeah, I was going to say the water's receding, and where you see all the reporters doing their stand-ups over there at the Louise Hayes Park.
Right.
It looks like it's receding.
Yeah, it's looking a whole lot better than it was. And that was the one I asked you about yesterday, Christian. I've been there many, many times. And so it obviously had some water issues, but now that's all – it's now back in its banks, and it's acting like it should, which is really good news.
It is, and my son asked me what impact I think that this was going to make on the splash pad at Louise Hayes Park that was completely destroyed. It's still there, but – mechanically it hasn't worked in over a year now, and I told him, I said, I don't know, this may be an ongoing project, but the water's going down. I think one of the things that we didn't deal with last year was so much debris in roads all over Kerrville. There are trash cans in places that you're like, how the hell did that get there? So water carried it there. You've actually got, you have some bluffs up here. that kind of resemble, parts of California I've been in, where you've heard of, the millionaires who like to put their mansion on the edge of a cliff in Malibu, and then El Nino comes and turns the hillside into soup, and the house goes off the cliff. Well, we haven't had that here, but we have had a couple of mudslides that have kind of allowed rocks and trees to block parts of roadways because it just got that wet. We didn't see that a year and a half ago. A lot of debris and maybe some ongoing hazards as the ground dries out.
I'd be interested to find out how things are on 16 south of you, where all the twists and the turns are. That's a heck of a beautiful motorcycle ride. But I'd be interested to find out how that is. All right, Christian, we'll let you go. We'll check with you next hour and see how things are. Before we break, I just want to lighten the load a little bit.
Yes.
Because I know how you love raccoons. And I got on my X account, there's a killer video, okay? It's just awesome, of this kid in Town Lake in Austin yesterday. And he's on one of them paddle boards. And there was a raccoon in the middle of the water that was, going to drown because Town Lake is full of water. And he went over to it, and he grabbed it and pulled it up on the board. Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Come around here and just take a look at it. You just look at it real quick and see this poor little baby raccoon. And keep watching for a second, because watch, this guy's just laughing. He's just watch, the raccoon snuggled up to him like a cat would do,
a nice raccoon,
or your doggy would do. Come here, take a look at it, and how it got right between his legs. And he's the kid's sitting there, and a raccoon is between his legs. He's saying, "Oh, thank you, Daddy. Thank you." It's just like Anyway, it's on my X account. Okay.
Raccoons are very intelligent creatures.
They're brilliant.
They're very intelligent.
Yeah. And then he let
animals.
him go once he got to the shore. He let him go.
The raccoon knew what was going on.
He was going to drown.
Yeah.
And his kid saved his life, and the raccoon was so appreciative. Now, I do not recommend this.
No.
Don't go out this weekend and say,
No.
"Let me play with a raccoon."
Don't be grabbing no raccoons, man.
But that reminds me of Jimothy. Jimothy. You need to go, Google Jimothy. Jimothy is a mutant raccoon in Seattle, deformed, has a truncated backbone. He's got what's called short spine syndrome. So he looks like the Hunchback of Notre Dame. He's, all
hunchbacked raccoon.
Yes, and he hops. Instead of running like raccoons run, he kind of hops along.
Was he hurt, or was he born that way?
No, he's born that way. Oh. And he's a favorite in the community. They all try to get videos, and they feel very blessed if Jimothy comes by the house to pay people a visit, which he does. And they actually put some food out for Jimothy, and he's all hunched over like this, and he's creeping along, and he's got a really short spine. So he just
they call him Quasimodo.
Right, that's exactly what they should. But Jimothy is the name of it. It's the cutest thing in the world, and I posted some pictures and video of that as well. I'm just trying to find things to get you feeling good for the weekend, because, man, we've had a stressful week.
Yes, we have.
Okay.
And just as a footnote, I have a very large raccoon that comes by our house, and I don't feel blessed when he does.
No.
Does he eat the cat food, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's kind of our fault.
I showed you pictures. They drink out. They drink out of our pool. I showed you pictures of them drinking out of the pool, and they're not afraid of nothing. They come right up to you.
Raccoons aren't, and they used to bug me. They don't bug me anymore, but they used to. Now I'm the guy who has to go out and get rid of the raccoon. I'm that guy now. But yeah.
Anyway, it's cute stuff. If you want to check it out, at Trey Ware Show on X. Back in a minute. Ware and Rima, KTSA. We're drying out now in San Antonio. A chance for a shower this morning. Sun and clouds later on with a high near 90. And then full-on sun tomorrow, Sunday, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. 92 and 94 this weekend. 78 now, KTSA. 821. Ware and Rima. Oh, real quick, over in Friendswood, which is by Houston, I've got a cousin who's in the Cajun Navy, and I was behind a Cajun Navy truck towing their boat this morning when I came in, and I just want to salute them because you guys are unbelievable in what you do to rescue. How many lives the Cajun Navy has saved around here has just been amazing.
Great bunch of people.
Keep it up, and thank you guys. Thank you very much for what you do.
You're going to like this one. We have a couple of House Republicans who are imploring the Supreme Court to take on the case of Richard Hershey, who is a Christian evangelist and a preacher, street preacher. Back in February of 2020, he and one of the reps that has actually authored this letter for the Supreme Court is Nathaniel Moran out of Texas, here in Texas. And it has to do with this gentleman preaching on a street and handing out pamphlets. He was approached. Glenn Grothman out of Wisconsin is the other Republican. They want this to go to the Supreme Court because, again, in February of 2020, this guy was handing out pamphlets and he was evangelizing. As Christians, we are told to evangelize. That's a part of it. That's
Matthew
part of
28.
Part of the teachings of Christ is that you and I have an obligation to go out into the world and tell our story, which is what evangelism basically is you tell your story about what the good news has meant to you, the idea being that you inspire other people.
That was an order from Jesus.
Yeah, it's a responsibility we all have if we're going to call ourselves Christians. And so this gentleman was doing that, and he was in Louisiana, Bossier City. Am I saying that correctly? Bossier City.
Bossier.
Arena in Louisiana, and he was approached by some police officers. They told him to stop, leave the area. He was handing out leaflets. This group that is now working with the preacher said that he was harassed and threatened. He was arrested. And it went to a circuit court, I believe, and upheld. So that's why they wanted to go to the Supreme Court. Arguing that, basically the evangelist, Mr. Hershey, Pastor Hershey, is covered not only by the free speech, your right to free speech, but also your right to freely worship as you see fit.
100%.
They don't have a constitutional argument for why they arrested this guy, and it should go to the Supreme Court. Now, I don't know how much confidence I have in our current Supreme Court, but I hope it does. And in America, if you want to evangelize on a street corner, a public road, you have the right to do that.
Well, two things. First of all, every day and every night in towns, or what do they call it, square in New York City. What is Times Square?
Times Square.
In New York. I got so much stuff in my head right now.
You're
but
fine, man.
Times Square in New York City. They shut it down because they all come out and praise Allah, and they bring out their rugs and their prayer rugs, and they kneel, and then they set up these giant microphones and they scream about Allah's the only God, Allah's the only God, Allah's the only God. If they're going to let them do that, and nobody ever bothers them, they better leave the Christians alone. We had the story a couple of weeks ago, and I played the sound over and over again of the woman, cop up in Fort Worth, who was telling the street preachers up there, if you offend anybody, you're going to go to jail.
If you offend anybody.
Remember
yes,
that when I played that?
Yes, I remember that.
And then her supervisor got on the scene, and he went, yep, if you offend anybody, you're going to go to jail. What?
The Establishment Clause cannot be there for some people and not for other people, or inverted or reversed, depending on whose religion you're propping up on any given day. Okay, the argument in New York City, you can argue the Establishment Clause in New York City because this is municipal. They're playing the prayers over loudspeakers. There are people complaining because it wakes them up every day.
They're going on the street and praying, kneeling in the street.
Yeah.
They're stopping traffic.
So you're going to stop a Christian preacher all by himself handing out mimeographs, probably, just pamphlets that he's running off a Xerox machine. But no, they have it. Yeah, obviously they have a case, and I hope it does go to the Supreme Court. I don't. Again, my faith in the Supreme Court is not all that great right now. But
if you read the Federalist Papers, which support how we got our Constitution,
right,
and how we got our rights, if you read them, you will understand that the First Amendment was, number one, a protection for you to speak against your own government, because the king would not allow that. You could not speak against him. You would be killed if you did. So you had to toe the company line. But the other reason, read the Federalist Papers and read, of course, the people who were alive then, writing in the newspapers and all that. The other reason was the promulgation of the gospel of Jesus Christ. They knew why they were here, and that was to spread the news about Jesus Christ. That was the culture of the time.
Right.
And so you had two duties. Number one was to speak, as we call it, truth to power.
Right.
Speak against your government when they need to be spoken against, and reveal your faith to the people. Go back and read the people who were alive then and why we ended up with how we ended up with the First Amendment.
And, much of the Constitution is really about your relationship with your government. That's, and what they can and can't do.
The Constitution is to restrain the government,
exactly.
not you.
Yeah, not you, but the other way around. So we'll see what happens with this case. I thought about street preaching on occasion.
Well,
I've never done it though.
And there's one thing too, and I forgot who said it. I can't hear you. So I can't hear what you're saying because your actions are speaking louder than you. Something about that, and evangelizing. The first thing you got to do is watch how you live your life, because that's the first thing people see.
Well, yeah.
And then after that, then you can open your mouth and tell.
I'm pretty cool in that regard right now. Yeah. Maybe 10 years ago might have been a different story.
No, man, I stand at the head of the screw-up line.
Right.
But, the whole idea is to, before you start telling other people about it, make sure your own house is in order.
Well, yeah, you got to make sure you don't have a redwood hanging out of your eye socket. But
that's it.
I'd feel pretty good about that now.
More Ware and Rima coming up, KTSA.
Someone had a birthday.
we call slamming the bass. Come on, Bootsy. Give it to me one time, son. Yeah. I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready for the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Just a smidge.
The other day, you said if you live in San Antonio, you're eating Taco Bell, you need to be arrested. You need to be hind-quartered.
I think you need to be heavily fined if you eat at a Taco Bell.
No, I think you said quartered, drawn and quartered is what I thought you said.
No,
I thought you said that.
No. I just think when you live in a town that has some of the finest Tex-Mex and Mexican food on the planet, that eating a Taco Bell just feels kind of weird.
You know how I feel about Bricks and Bars, and that's where I put you if you ate Taco Bell in San Antonio. You go behind Bricks and Bars because that's where you belong.
Why would anyone want to eat a Taco Bell?
Because they brought back the enchilado.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the
enchilado?
Something crispy, I think.
No. It's the burrito and the
enchilada.
In the sauce and olives on top and cheese.
Oh, man.
All you stoners know all this stuff. I have no idea what that stuff is, but we're finding out that this is a possibility that it came from Taylor Lechuga.
Taylor Lechuga.
Yeah, that's how we ended up with. Right.
Yeah.
Taylor
lettuce.
Taylor
What is
lettuce.
Taylor lettuce?
It's a
Is that a
company.
brand?
Taylor is a brand. That's the one they buy their lettuce from Taylor Lettuce.
Oh.
Taylor Lechuga, and because they found out now that there's several people that where did you eat? I ate Taco Bell. What did you eat? I ate this. It is with the stuff with the lettuce in it. And then they found out it was Taylor brand Lechuga.
And this is the exploding.
Yes. And that's how they ended up with exploding poo. That's right. So they're that's what they're pointing to at the moment. It may or may not be the case, but that's what they're pointing to at the moment. So anyway. Okay, just wanted to get that out there. Get it out of Yep. Have you ever had
avoid all this by just eating at one of your local taquerias rather than going
to clean the chute.
I'm sorry, what?
You just wanted to clean the chute. Get it out.
Thanks for the metaphor.
So medicinal.
I'm waiting until I get off the air to clean the chute. Sorry.
You guys.
Well, it's not our fault. The news, there's nothing to talk about.
That's right. There's not much going on today.
Well, let me give you something. Let's go back to 2016, where they actually in 2017, where Barack Obama actually had to make up Russian interference to throw off a presidential election and to throw off a sitting president. Barack Obama should be in jail for a coup. Okay,
It was
I agree.
It was 14 years ago. Barack was here. It popped up on my Facebook when he was in the Dominion.
Yeah.
I got a picture of the limo driving by.
Yeah, that's right.
I said on the photo caption, I said, everyone in here has health insurance, sir.
That's right. Yeah, you don't need to be here. So he's the one who started the whole Russian collusion thing. That's a coup. He performed a coup against a sitting president. And then in 2021, April of 2021, Joe Biden said this.
During the campaign for the presidency, I was unequivocal that if I was elected president, I'd respond to any attempt to influence our elections, the last election, and because elections are sacred. They're sovereign undertakings, and they're an expression of the will of the American people. And we cannot allow a foreign power to interfere in our democratic process with impunity. And I told them if it turned out that as I thought, that there was engagement in our elections, that I'd respond. Today, I've approved several steps, including expulsion of several Russian officials.
Okay. So he's talking about Russian collusion in 21. So Barack actually made it up in 2017. It didn't exist. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. Well, what's funny about all this is if you go back to the Mitt Romney debate, remember when Romney brought up Russia, he said, the 80s called, they want their foreign policy back. And then later on, we know now, and that's what we're talking about, Obama himself invented this whole idea of Russian interference. I mean, he's kind of at the center of this pinwheel.
Correct. And it was based on the P dossier and all the crap stuff, that they were doing, right? All made up. And so Joe Biden, right there, after he was elected, that was April of 21. He had just taken the oath in January of 21. So a couple of months later, he's saying, well, I don't want these Russians who are interfering in our elections. Again, they were making it all up.
Yes.
Okay. So President Trump last night brings the receipts and issues, while he's speaking, he issues the paper and says, here's the documentation in their own handwriting. So China was influencing the election of 2020. No question, no doubt about it.
We're looking at the wrong guys, man.
But what did they do? What did they do? All the Democrats, and by the way, you just heard that soundbite from Joe Biden. That was off of ABC.
Of course.
When Joe Biden spoke about it, ABC carried it.
Oh, yeah.
CBS carried it. CNN carried it. So did NBC. They all carried Joe Biden. Last night, they wouldn't carry Donald Trump. And, in fact, when it was over with, they said, Donald Trump is lying. Let's fact-check him.
And they didn't show it, so you wouldn't be able to know that was bull crap.
No. In fact, I can play their people, and I will here in a few minutes play their people and what their people were saying about, it's just a bunch of lies from President Trump. But he was putting a paper out. Here he is.
And other reports proving that our government has long known these machines are extremely exposed to attack. As one assessment states, we judge that the United States adversaries, including at a minimum Russia, China, Iran, North Korea, as well as non-state groups, have the capability to compromise U.S. election infrastructure. That's unquote, but that's some statement, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is some statement. I'm going to play for you a guy here in a second that is going to affirm and confirm that. Now, they did get into our machines. They did get into your business. They have the backgrounding, and they have formed these entire, I guess you would say, dossiers on over 220 million Americans. Quit listening to ABC. Quit listening to CNN. Listen to independent journalists like Catherine Herridge. There is no finer journalist on the globe than Catherine Herridge. This is what she said last night.
China is one of the biggest collectors of data on the planet. So if you take that 220 million voter rolls and you combine it with something called the SF-86, those are the security clearance applications that were compromised back in 2015, 22 million files. And then you combine it with all of the health information that's been hacked, you can really build this kind of digital composite of an individual. And you can
Okay. And why is that important? Why would China want to build a digital component or composite of who you are and everything about you? Let her finish
You can
this.
use that for, voter registration fraud. You can use that for identity theft. And significantly, you can also use it to recruit American citizens to your efforts.
Okay. Now, we'll let you roll in a minute. I'm gonna play one more.
Sure.
This is Mark Lapriesti. He is on the board of 2 quantum cybersecurity companies. He's all up in this stuff. This is where he lives. This is his wheelhouse. Right. Let him explain the role of AI and these machines.
I don't think the president left any gray area or area for interpretation. This was about get, save, pass. That was the last thing he said. But let me just address some of what you said, Brian. It is a different era now than it was in 18 or in 20. This massively different. I sit on the advisory board of 2 quantum cybersecurity companies. I know something about this. AI and the threat of hacking using modern AI technology has made all of our systems, both public and private, more vulnerable than they have ever been. We know it's been proven, both by our own intelligence agencies as well as the private sector, that China has been data farming, harvesting data, both public and private, from the United States, from U.S. citizens, data they cannot even access yet until their cyber techniques enable them to do so. It is a different threat today than it was in 2020 and 2018, and that's part of why the president was so forward-looking. We didn't hear the moaning and complaining and kvetching, if you will, to use a very New York term.
What the president did not do, and I brought this up earlier, was go back and say, this was not a grievance speech. He was talking about the future. So let me set you up here, because this is what it's all about. This guy is all in AI. He understands AI. China forms a composite of you, of all of us, 220 million voters. They form that composite, everything about your health, everything about your voting history, everything about you. Then they go into the machine, and they tell the machine, here's how Sean voted. Here's how Trey votes, right? Then Trey and Sean show up to vote, and we show our ID, and the guy at the polling place goes, well, you already voted, because that's what it shows. And, yes, there's a vote that's in your name that AI and China put together with this component, stuck a vote in the machine, in the system
you.
You've
already you've already voted. I mean, it stands to reason that, everything is becoming sleeker and faster and more profound with artificial intelligence, whatever you're talking about. So obviously, the ability to influence an election and cheat an election is also becoming much more evolved, right? I mean, that's what we're talking about. You're basically able to create a fake version of you that will go and vote in cyberspace before you even show up. And then I would assume after that's happened, what do you have to do? I mean, I don't know the process, but you have to dispute that if you're going to bother disputing it. And how does that get disputed? How do they determine that you didn't actually freaking vote?
Right.
It's just
who's going to decide that?
It's the same thing about we talk a lot about people being able to create evidence against a person now. We talk about this in regards to Trump and AI. It's the same thing. You're basically creating a cyber version of a person to go and vote, and then you have to prove you didn't that you didn't do it.
That's it. That's the thing.
This is not merely, paper hacking or system hacking.
Nope.
This is taking all the information they can dig up, and I've been toying with AI for the past few weeks, and you can find out anything about anybody practically at this point through ChatGPT. If I've looked up myself and to see what comes up when you plug it into AI. So it stands to reason that cheating an election would become much more streamlined, much more profound, with the use of AI, which we already know. We're in an AI war, a race with China. So obviously their AI capacities are extraordinary. So, yeah, sure, of course. And they probably had some of this technology, before we even realized they had it.
Oh, but they've been doing this for years.
That's what I'm saying.
For the years.
Trump said he goes all the way back to 2018.
Oh, yeah. Before then. So here's the thing. What the solution is to be primitive. I'm serious. I'm serious.
Yeah, no,
I'm serious.
Right. I agree.
So you have to go back to paper ballots.
Right.
You have to go back to same-day voting. You have to. As the president has said consistently, the only excuses are you're in the military, you're on your deathbed, because even if you're sick, they can bring the paper ballot to your car. They offer to do that with my 91-year-old mother-in-law. We'll bring that out to the car for you, Miss Hooper. No, she wants to go inside. You got to go the same day. You got to fill out a paper ballot, and you got to show an ID. That's the answer. It's real primitive, but that's how you're going to fix it.
Look at Mexico. You get your thumb. You get painted, right? You have to do something with
Iran when they had their first elections.
That's right. They got and they still do purple thumbs when they vote.
Okay, yeah, that's it.
Yeah, Iran.
This is. I'm going to bring in a pop culture reference here to kind of illustrate what you're talking about. There was a great show. Now there's an old show and a new version of it called Battlestar Galactica, where computers took over. Technology kind of did us in. And the only way we survived our own technology in that universe is you had to go back to phones with cords. People communicated with paper documents. Went back to paper documents. In other words, they went primitive because primitive is the only thing that the technology itself cannot hack.
I'm serious
and
about
cannot
that.
manipulate.
That's what we got.
Oh, I agree.
And Donald Trump's been talking about it.
Paper ballots.
Got to do it.
Yeah.
And the same day. You got to show up.
Yeah.
And I don't care. Look, Constitution says first Tuesday. That's fine. But we can change that. I'm fine with it being a Saturday because everybody's off work. Make it a Saturday. Just pick a Saturday, whatever month you want it to be in. We'll all show up. We're going to have daylight savings so you can come till 9 o'clock at night in the daylight.
Right. It's true. Right.
So we're getting rid of that. We'll have daylight savings, and you show up and you vote on the same day on a piece of paper. Let's take a break. We'll come right back. More Ware and Rima. Let me tell you about Bjorn's. Talking about technology, man, when you talk about Bjorn's, they are your home technology experts, and they have been your home technology experts now for 51 years. And back in the day when I first started to do business with Bjorn's, it was mainly about the big TVs and about wonderful audio. So I bought one of those big box TVs. The big screen was a huge box, took up half the living room, right? It was crazy. Nancy and I were living in a mobile home, and that thing took up half the living room in the mobile home. But then you bought those big old speakers, right? Gigantic speakers. Boom, boom, boom. Nah, the stuff is just so much different now. Those TVs are like 100 and some odd inches, and they're just about less than a half-inch wide now. Hang on any wall you want it on. And the speakers are tiny little things, and they sound like you're in a concert hall. So you got that. But beyond that, they do so much more, from home theaters to whole home automation to home networking. Your home can basically run itself. You set it up, and it'll just do everything you want it to do. Lights on and off at a particular time, AC up and down at a particular time. Here comes the Roomba or whatever you do, vacuum cleaner you got. It's going to run around. All those things can be done, set up with whole home automation with Bjorn's. Stop on by and see them. It's drying out now, so you can go by and see my friends over there, 281 and Bitters at Bjorn's, just Bjorn's. It is starting to dry out. Chance for shower this morning and sun and clouds a little bit later on today with a high of 90. And then here comes the sunshine, baby. You're going to have to mow the lawn about 5 times tomorrow just to get her done. Right now, 78 at KTSA.
Good morning. Working a couple of trouble spots. This report sponsored by Staples. Got a stall on 35 southbound at New Braunfels on the frontage road, right lane blocked. And then on I-10 upper level eastbound at 35, that stall's been moved off the main lane off to the shoulder. On 35 southbound as you head out of the New Braunfels area, 337, getting reports of a stall causing a little bit of a delay. All right, it's officially the most wonderful time of the year at Staples. They've got back-to-school supplies as low as 25 cents, up to 40% off select tech, 20% off for teachers and more. Check out all the deals at staples.com/back-to-school. Staples, that was easy. I'm Debbie Alcacer, KTSA, Time Saver Traffic.
News Talk 550 KTSA and the Gomez Law Firm present the 2026 Back to School Drive. Saturday, August 1st from 11 till 1 or while supplies last at the Gomez Law Firm. 2943 Moss Rock Drive. Free backpacks and school supplies for all school-aged children while supplies last. Saturday, August 1st from 11 till 1. Sponsored in part by the College for Healthcare Professionals. AI United Insurance. Centromed. Tamalitos Restaurant.
Stevie Wonder, it's 8:52. Just got a headline real quick from the Babylon Bee.
Sure.
Babylon Bee headline: Cockroach maintains composure despite making contact with a journalist.
That's perfect. You and I were just talking, Mom Donnie, they're doing a piece on this business with the landlords and rent freezes and all this stuff. And we were talking about this very bizarre press conference with him and this activist from some renters association with the Gilligan hat and the mask, calling eviction a form of violence. As I understand, it's already pretty hard to get evicted in a place like New York City. What he's talking about is making that even harder, and also freezing rent, which I'm not a economic genius, but I know how business works as far as the basic nuts and bolts of it. And you can't say to because if you're renting a property, you are involved in a business agreement of some kind, which is, I agree to pay you so much money to live in this building that you own, right?
Mm-hmm.
The market fluctuates constantly. You could no more say to a landlord, you have to keep your rent at this rate, than you could say to a person who owns a grocery store, which they're also basically trying to do in New York City. You can only charge so much for a loaf of bread or a jug of milk or what have you. It just doesn't operate that way because you have to be able to address changes in the economy, right? So if you start freezing rents, what the landlord associations are saying in New York is we won't be able to maintain our properties at all because conversely, he's going to start holding them even more responsible for, I guess, physical issues with the property. So you're saying you can't raise the money because you have to make a profit, right? You don't just rent just to do it. You're renting a property to make a profit, so you have money to maintain the property. But then he's saying you can only charge so much for the rent, which means they won't have the money to maintain the property, who he's then going to penalize them for not maintaining the property. I mean, it's completely circular what they're doing with folks who are renters in New York. And it's all to trick people into supporting him because you hear it's like a lot of socialism crap, right? Oh, I'd like my rent frozen at a certain rate and not have to worry about it going up. Just like I'd like free food or I'd like this or I'd like that. But you don't understand the economic impact of that throughout the entirety of the economy of New York City. You know a lot more about this. You've actually rented properties and stuff.
No. Well, here's what he's doing. First of all, you're right. I just want to back up into what you said a minute ago and support everything you just said because you were right about the whole circular thing. He is setting up new rules that is going to make it impossible for independent owners to be able to maintain their properties. So one of the things, you're right, he's capping the rates at which they can increase property. And then, at the same time, he's raising the cost of doing business in New York City. So as your costs are going up, you can't pass those along to your tenants. Then he's coming in with inspectors, and he's making the rules so much higher as to what you must do to maintain your property that it's going to be an impossibility for you to financially be able to do that and keep it open. So when that happens, when you fall out of alignment with what he's demanding from you, he's coming and taking your property.
Yes.
Listen to me, folks. That's the key to this. It's not just he's going to come fine you or anything like that. No, he's not going to fine you. He's coming to take your property, and then he will run it as a collective. What does that sound like? What is that?
It's communism.
Thank you.
It's fascism. I mean, ultimately, according to this, and again, not being a financial genius, at some point, the New York City government is going to own every apartment building in the city. I mean, I think that's the ultimate goal, just like they want to own everything else.
Communism.
So it sounds great at the beginning, right? Oh, I'd love to have my rent frozen, right?
Right.
Oh, yeah, I'd like these guys to be held to a higher standard as far as maintaining this property.
Right.
Sounds lovely.
Yeah.
Until you look at the reality of what actually happens and what he actually wants to do.
And what do you say in communism? Everybody ends up eating out of the same dumpster.
Yes.
Everybody ends up eating out of the same dumpster in except people like Mamdani, who is extremely wealthy, who came from a Muslim communist nation called Uganda, and he came here to spread it here. And not only is he doing it, but he's also gotten people elected now in Michigan. They're going to elect that guy up there, Colorado, and D.C. He's getting people elected to do the exact same thing.
It really is spreading like a cancer. I think Trump used the cancer metaphor a few weeks ago, okay? It's really what it is, especially when I look at Mamdani. Okay, I see a guy very much like Obama, except even more dangerous than Obama.
Very charismatic with that smile.
Oh, God.
All right, before we break, I have to play this real quick because Chuck Schumer, of course, I played that piece from Chuck Schumer a couple of days ago when he was on the Senate floor, and the man cut one. And so now there's been a bunch of memes. Well, he held a press conference yesterday, and he was asked about
Senator. Senator Jacob with TMZ, did you fart yesterday on the Senate floor?
And he just got in the van.
He didn't answer it?
He got in the van and drove off. I can answer the question. Yes, he did. It was loud.
I reviewed the video even after I got home, and it's like, it definitely sounds like he cut one.
Oh, no, he let it go. He let it fly.
He even sort of chuckled, so he knew.
No, he did chuckle. Right after he cut it, he went.
He knew, man.
And why do men do women chuckle after they fart, Elaine? Because
my wife does.
Men do. You don't.
I didn't just say that, did I?
No. You don't.
No.
No. Okay. I just wonder if it happens. Anyway,
we find it hilarious in my house.
Yeah, well, of course. Y'all probably have contests. More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA.
Dr. Williamson is not just in
Rima.
One more hour.
What am I sort of? I got some quick hits I want to go through.
Yes.
But before I do that, want to. You know how I set you up?
Yes.
I'm gonna do that with Jimmy.
Okay.
Okay. Because here's the deal.
I'm ready.
I've been saying I'm gonna buy the 4X hoodie. It's a MAGA hoodie for who?
For Lurch.
That's it.
Well, we can't call him Lurch anymore.
All right.
Who's Lurch?
Fetterman.
Oh, Fetterman. Right.
He's a Fetterman boy over here.
I'm a Fettercrat.
Yeah, he is really.
I am too. I like that dude.
Like if he was seriously running, I would want to listen
hold on
to
now.
him.
Hold on. I'm gonna set you up. So here he is. There's a Republican senator and a Democrat senator from Pennsylvania. He's the Democrat. So he has teamed up now with the Republican senator, and they're doing fundraising together. This is advancing this whole, sub-speak that he's going to switch. He's going to switch parties. He's going to come on over, and I will buy the hoodie.
Me too.
But he was asked about the anti-Israel stance that the Democrat Party is about to make an official position of their party. Get this, the Democrat Party, because of these communists, they're about to make it official that they're anti-Israel, the Democrat Party.
Wow.
And he was asked about that.
I've always expressed my dismay the way the Democratic Party continues to turn their back on Israel. So I've said that publicly, like that's my red line. If Democratic Party becomes official anti-Israel, then that's when I would force me out.
Get ready for John Fetterman. I don't know if he's going to come on over and be a Republican or if he would, caucus with the independents, but get ready for him to bail on those Democrats.
He'll go unaffiliated, probably, at least at the beginning.
He'll also screw up an impeachment vote.
Yes, he will.
Yes,
he will.
He will.
Yes, he will. Yes, because he has.
How many more years does he have on his term?
4? No.
I don't know.
2, I think.
3 or 8?
No, he's not. I think it's 2. I'm trying to remember where. I'm trying to remember when he went in because we were in the whole fog of the. First of all, we were in the fog of COVID, and then he had the stroke.
He gets 6 years, right?
Right, and I believe he's got 2 left after this mid-year term.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I think he's done 4. So, but he's got the you-know-whats to vote for Donald Trump in an impeachment deal. But I would look for him to even leave the Democrat Party and head on into independent land out there where he's just a roving dude. And I'm going to, I'll give you another guy from that part of the world. I'll give you another one from that part of the world that was one of my favorite senators of all time. I was blessed to meet him in Washington, D.C., Joseph Lieberman.
Oh, yeah.
Lieberman.
Oh, yeah, he was great.
He was just awesome. Awesome.
Like Republicans couldn't get mad at Joe.
No, I loved him.
Well, one of the arguments one of the observations you hear from a lot of folks, and I've known a few folks, older folks, who have said the same thing, and that a Democrat, an old school Democrat from the 60s, 50s, 70s is more like a modern day Republican than they are like a modern Democrat because they've gone to such extremes.
I've said it over and over again. John Kennedy would not be welcome in today's.
No, he wouldn't.
Well, look at his nephew. Okay, his nephew's not welcome in the Democrat Party.
John Kennedy would have been considered largely conservative by today's standards.
He would be in the Republican Party.
Yeah,
I'm telling you, John Kennedy would be a Republican today, and so that's where we are.
I don't see Fetterman going all the way over to the GOP.
I don't see that happening.
Unaffiliated, he'd be free. He'd tackle any issue he would want to, as from any perspective he'd want to. It kind of fits him ideologically. So I don't know. I mean, you break it down for me. If he did not become a Republican and he did go unaffiliated or independent, what could he not do because he's not part of an official party?
Nothing.
There's nothing, right?
Nothing. I mean, he'll have all the power of okay, so
as far as running again or anything like that.
Let me back that up. If he was going to sit on a committee, if Chuck Schumer's back in charge and he gets on a committee, then they would take him off the committee. They wouldn't let him serve on a committee. So that would happen.
He could also.
But so what?
Right. It's not like the damn committees do anything.
He can go around and break a lot of stuff on his own. That's what we need. We need guys in there that are going to break a lot of stuff.
He could also be the open the floodgate to give other Democrats the motivation to go independent.
And Republicans too.
And Republicans too.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah.
If they were all independents, I'd be cool with that.
Well, that's what I am. I don't wear a jersey.
We were never intended and you can correct me if I'm wrong on my take on the history of the Founding Fathers and what was in their heads in them our days. We were never intended to be a system that was dominated by two political parties.
And that you had a team that you just died for.
Yeah,
that
it was never meant to be that.
No. All right, let's get Christian in here. Christian Blood, our news director, has been in Kerrville covering the situation up there. And, Christian, we now see the receding water. You're able to drive around Kerrville now. The Guadalupe is going down there, although it's coming downstream. And we had people in Spring Branch that were mandatorily evacuated last night in the Spring Branch Middle School. That water is continuing toward Canyon Lake, which is 17 feet down. So this is probably going to cap off Canyon Lake this weekend. And I don't know if it's going to get to 100%, but it probably will. I think it probably is going to get close. So, anyway, how are things in the Texas Hill Country this morning?
Well, not so fast on being able to drive around because we still have a number of roads. You are correct on the river going down. So I think the immediate threat as far as the water itself, that is going away. But there's a lot of debris. There is some road damage, some smaller landslides that are creating minor complications. But we still have 2 or 3 bridges that are closed. Most notably, the Sidney Baker Bridge, which is right outside downtown. That's kind of the main bridge going over Lewis Hayes Park. Now, yesterday when we went home around 7:30, I think I talked to you guys. We could see from that parking garage we were in that police were closing that bridge. And we didn't know why because we could already see the river going down. What we couldn't see was that a large recovery barge is what it's being described as. I didn't know we had barges on,
yeah.
on this
wow.
part of the river.
Yes, you do. Yeah.
So this got knocked loose. It floated downriver and it ran into one of those big, thick concrete pillar walls that support that bridge. So this is why they closed the bridge. They want to inspect the bridge to make sure that there's no structural damage. And if there is, that could mean repairs. If there is damage, then we can't really say how long that bridge might be closed. And that's key because that's a main thoroughfare. You have other options, and they're going to get that cleaned up. But, like I said, the danger factor is gone. But if you're coming to Kerrville, if you live up here, you're already realizing that with cleanup underway, things will improve. But concerning bridges, we may have some issues on 1 or 2 of these locations. So you may be needing to look at detours, throughout the weekend and maybe in the days ahead.
Have you made it down to the river yet to see what it's doing and how it's flowing now this morning?
I have not done so myself, but I've heard from reliable sources here it's described as way down. As a matter of fact, that recovery barge, that barge we're talking about, that may end up just sitting on the ground.
Yeah.
Because usually at that point, that Sidney Baker Bridge that has gotten so much attention for the 4th last year, and then of course yesterday morning, that river basin is probably from one side to the other, probably close to 300 yards wide.
Yeah.
And when the river fills it completely, it's something to behold. But on an average day, Trey, as you know, that river's down to kind of a trickle.
Yep.
I can throw a rock easily from one end of the to the other. You're
one
talking
side, yeah.
120 feet, no big deal. So I'm curious as to what's going to happen to the barge that may or may not. I'm going to go down to get photos. I'm working on a story we'll post on KTSA.com here in a little bit.
Okay.
But I think we're going to have a barge sitting on the ground. I may be wrong, but I think that's what's.
Oh, I hear you. We'll look for that story. Thank you, Christian. I appreciate it very much. 2 other things I want to get to real quick. Clean up from yesterday. Former Marine William Upman arrested. He was the one that said Donald Trump is the Antichrist and needs to die. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
We talked about him.
He got kicked out. Right. He did get right. I did see that. Yeah.
He got arrested in Jacksonville, Florida yesterday for threats against the president. Remember we were saying that we hope he gets arrested. He should be arrested. Well, they went last night, actually, and arrested Mr.
picked him up. Well, good. That was an actual threat to the president. If you or I did that, we'd be arrested too.
Right. And also we talked yesterday about how these left-wing jerks are trying to get an ICE agent killed. Remember? We were saying that over and over again? That's their next step. They were enticing ICE agents to attack people by driving their cars at them, and then the ICE agent would have to respond with his gun. Now they've flipped the script, and they're trying to kill ICE agents. They're inspiring people to kill ICE agents. Well, there was an attempt at that last night in Phoenix, Arizona. There were gunshots that were fired at the ICE headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona, and investigation is underway. All right, before we take a break, though, I have this beautiful video that I came across about 2 days ago, and again, it's one of those stories that we couldn't get to because of the weather coverage. Right. But the Blue Angels in Pensacola, Florida, I used to do fill-in at a radio station Dave and Mary Hoxing own in Pensacola. Right there in that beautiful stretch of the beach. It's just gorgeous in Pensacola. But that's where the Blue Angels are housed. That's their home base. You can go out there any day of the week and see a Blue Angels air show because they're practicing over the ocean. Well, this video has been released now, and it's amazing. These guys fly down the beach, and I'm telling you, from wingtip to sand, probably 10 feet.
I saw
Did you see that?
Yeah, I did.
They turned it on its side, man, and all these people are cheering and jumping up and down, and it's great patriotism. These guys are not going to hurt you. They are the best of the best when it comes to aviators.
Wasn't there some Yahoo that was complaining about it or something like that?
Well, the Democrats.
Right.
That's what I hear when I hear a Democrat now. And the Secretary of Destruction said this.
Florida, that's being called a low-altitude pass by that jet. Now, keep in mind there were no injuries from it, but the Navy officials initially said there would be a safety review after that pass. Writing, during an aerial maneuver, an aircraft flew lower than standard profiles, resulting in a disturbance on the beach that affected civilian chairs and umbrellas. A lot of hats went flying as well. But a number of the people on that beach said they were thrilled by what they saw.
When they fly close and blow the tents up.
That was a first.
Incredible.
I haven't seen that one. That was good.
They're showing out.
Secretary of War Hegseth has already weighed in. He said the flyovers will continue until morale improves.
Nice.
That's
so
it.
They went below the hard deck.
Oh, they did. I mean, and so boys, he says, go back out there and do it again. In fact, I might pin something on you for doing it. So that's good.
That's excellent.
These guys are the best of the best. They're not going to hurt you. And if it blew your cap off, good enough.
They used to do flyovers in D.C. every year when I was a kid.
Sure.
You know, you'd go see them, and
hot as
and they're all hot, and Elaine wants them all. And it's just the thing about jet airplanes like that, because I rode in one once, is they're so precise
they're
as
perfect.
far as what you can make them do.
Yeah.
Show Elaine.
Yeah, I'll show her the
pilots.
video of this guy doing it because here they go. See where he is? Look at that. Do you want to see that again? I'll show it to you again. Here we go. So, yeah, you could feel that one down deep in your bones.
Elaine, do you need to bum a smoke? you okay?
You want a nap and a sandwich? She got the vapors.
More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA. Chance for a shower this morning. Sun and clouds later. I've already seen the sun today. Sun and clouds later. High about 90. Sunny tomorrow and Sunday, 92 and 94. Right now, 77 at KTSA.
I got a kind of an interesting, funny story. Well, sort of funny, depending on who what your part in the story is. But just very briefly, also, just so people know, if you didn't see the president last night, he talked about election corruption and fraud, and China largely being responsible for using AI to hack into our systems and get people to vote who didn't actually vote, and all that information. I just want to keep putting this out there. The 4 sets of documents are available at whitehouse.gov. The president spoke for about 40 minutes last night. They talk about election machines, voting machines that have been compromised. I think you and I both were not surprised by this. Maybe we were a little surprised by the scope of it, the extent to which the Chinese were paying large amounts of money to people in our own media and within our own political system to either cover this up or to put out a false narrative about Donald Trump to create division and distrust or mistrust. So if you're curious about, seeing the receipts, they're at whitehouse.gov. 4 sets of documents that the president spoke about last night. Now, Trey, there are certain things that a person shouldn't do, okay, that are just kind of stupid for anyone to do. One is you don't tug on the cape of old Superman. You don't spit into the wind. Okay, remember the first book of Jim Croce.
Don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger.
Don't pull the mask off the old Lone Ranger. And don't grab a bull's tail. In Spain, in Pamplona, they did the running of the bulls, and they were at, I guess they do several of these. They are at the San Fermin Festival. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it correctly or not, but it's one of their running of the bulls. Now, I have a person that used to be in my life that did this, where they let him through the streets, and people, you run with the bulls, if that's what you're into. This one, it looked like it was in some kind of an enclosed arena. At least it started there. The video out of the San Fermin Festival is interesting because apparently one of the things you don't do when the bull is running, most people try to stay behind the bull and kind of run along with the bull. You let the bull go where it wants to go, but you don't yank on its tail, or some people will grab the bull's tail so the bull will drag them. But it screws up the bull. They get disoriented, and they start lunging at people. It makes them very upset.
And this wasn't a guy participating in the run. This was just a spectator who stepped out and grabbed the tail. So, yeah.
These are all matadors, I assume, in this particular setting or whatever they are.
They run.
They run with the bulls.
They're
so
runners.
This was somebody, a spectator. But, yeah, he went up and he grabbed the bull's tail. Bull dragged him for a little while, then freaked out. But it didn't end well for that guy because, again, there are rules against this. And all the other dudes, pounced on the guy and started beating the crap out of him, man.
Well, and you know what happens when you yank on the tail of a bull? Something comes out. It's called bull shizzle. You're covered in bull shizzle.
I need the gig, Trey. You made me a little nervous there. No,
or you can grab at it and reach for something else instead of a tail.
Yeah, that would really upset the bull.
That's the last thing you want to grab on a bull.
Well, yeah, is that something you'd ever want? Maybe you and I are already kind of past the place where we should be running with any bulls for any reason.
I ain't running. No way, man.
That's not something. That's not one of those things I've ever had any desire to do. You know what I mean?
I ranched and I was on the business end of bulls, Sean. You don't want anything to do with them.
I don't.
You want nothing to do with them.
I don't want to run. There's 2 things I don't want to do that were like a big deal when I was younger that people wanted to do. I don't want to go to India.
Yeah.
And secondly, I don't want to go to India and get my mind expanded.
You said it about buffaloes the other day. That's 3,000 pounds of muscle. That's what a bull is. A bull is 3,000 pounds of solid steel muscle.
With sharp, pointy things coming out of its head. So no, I don't think running with a bull is something I want to do anytime soon.
My buddy's done it twice.
Yeah. Did he enjoy it? Was it fun for him?
He loves it.
Good for him.
What's the rush? I guess just because of
just to say you've done it.
And you survived.
And he was
proximity to danger.
He's a big Hemingway fan. So there was some stuff with that.
That'll always mess you up.
Hi.
The Hemingway thing.
I'm running with the Hemingway bulls. Huh?
I'm going to go running with the bulls.
Right.
It's a lot more manlier than that.
Oh, it is. It's totally.
Well, again, you invoked Hemingway, and it's kind of a macho trip.
But didn't he do that and write about
times.
it?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
Yeah.
And he was into bullfighting. He liked to watch it and go. And then he'd have his 9-hour margarita lunches.
Yes.
I
But I'm just telling you, man, you don't want anything to do with a bull. If you've ever met a bull face to face, ooh, man, ooh, no way.
Dude, I don't want to run with a cow, okay?
No.
I'm not, let alone a bull.
So you
No
don't
way.
pull its tail, and you can't milk a bull.
No, you can't.
Have you ever tried?
You could try, but it's not going to end well for you.
Oh, man.
Could be profitable.
Well, you know what? We made money from Classic Junior.
Yes, you do. You can make
per
money.
straw. You make several thousands of dollars per straw.
What's that straw? What do you mean?
But we had machines that did that.
For DNA, Sean.
What is what?
DNA from the male.
You sell straw sperm, and they inseminate other cows.
Oh God!
But
that's how you do it, Sean.
You make a lot of
money.
money.
Like they do for the race horses, right?
Yes, yeah.
Bingo.
We had one of the most. Red McCombs on Classic. We had Classic Junior, and we would sell straws and make our year off of a couple of straws. Yes.
Well.
Yes.
Circling back.
He asked, or somebody asked. Somebody wanted to know.
Babies running around.
Little Classic Junior babies all over the
Just
place.
to circle back around to the original story. What I do is I run with the squirrels.
That's right.
I go in the backyard. I let the squirrels go.
More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA.
For victims of drunk.
The Brothers Johnson, they were cool. They dressed up all in the same clothes, those leisure suits with the high collars, long collars.
Who's this? Who are they?
The Brothers Johnson.
The Brothers Johnson. That's what they're called?
That's it. Yeah, that's this group here. This was from 1979. It's called Stomp. Yeah. It's Funky Friday. And I listened to the man who's the alto do it. Time for the weekend, Mr. Rima.
I concur.
Yeah.
We are almost there.
We got it. Okay.
This was a good one to roller skate to.
Oh, yeah, man. Skateland East. All regular skate in a regular direction. Yeah. Okay.
Rock on.
Anyway, we could do this all day.
Yeah, we could.
But we're not going to, just so we're clear. Because the people on YouTube are going, why are you all, because they can't hear it on YouTube.
What's wrong with their heads?
Yeah. So anyway, we talked a couple of things about the president's speech last night. We covered a lot of ground on it. There's a lot more. It's on my X account at Trey Ware Show if you want to see it. But Brian Stelter over at CNN admitted what the president has been saying and what we've been saying. I've been calling them paid actors, right?
Right.
Paid actors.
Yes, you have.
That China is paying them or somebody's paying them. And so Brian Stelter on CNN admitted to it as to why they did not carry the president's speech.
He did the same thing as this network, CNN, last night. The newsrooms monitored the speech, evaluated what was actually newsworthy, looked at the documents Trump was...
The president of the United States spoke.
What was actually newsworthy? Like all of it.
Yeah.
And then reported on what happened. NBC and ABC...
Now listen to what he's telling you. He is telling you that they watched it and then they told you what was said. Instead of just showing you what was said, instead of just, here's the president, listen to what he said. I'm going to tell you what he said.
As this network, CNN, last night. The newsrooms monitored the speech, evaluated what was actually newsworthy, looked at the documents Trump was declassifying, and then reported on what happened.
How about a little 1984?
Yeah, it's a little Orwellian, you know.
We'll tell you what the news is.
I think the way we presented it earlier is precisely what happened, okay? The networks didn't show it. CNN didn't show it because they didn't want the morons that still watch those networks in that cable station to see it for themselves, because then when they're, discerning what's newsworthy and what's not, they can pretty much tell you any freaking thing they want to tell you about it. And what they said was, it's a bunch of lies. That's not true. But again, if you guys are so confident in your news discernment, show it.
Right. So
then you tell us what was newsworthy or not.
That's right. Okay, so we're talking about the Save America Act and showing a photo ID to vote.
Right.
We have given, thousands maybe of examples of things in everyday American life that you have to show. If you want to go see Barack Obama's ugly thing in Chicago,
right,
you have to show an ID to get on the grounds, okay?
Yeah.
So Abigail Jackson, she works for Caroline Leavitt at the White House.
Mm-hmm.
She was on TV just a while ago, a story that we talked about just yesterday. She made it relatable to the Save America Act. Listen.
Citizenship, ending mass mail-in balloting. And Democrats have already said the quiet part out loud. They've said that if the Save America Act passes, they're not going to win another election. Why would that be? Why would securing our elections prevent Democrats from winning? And, I saw a tweet yesterday from Olive Garden, of all places, that in order to take advantage of their never-ending pasta pass, you have to show voter ID. And I thought, that's weird. Olive Garden takes pasta pass security more seriously than Democrats are taking election security.
Isn't that the best of the best? They just came out with their never-ending pasta deal. Cost you $100 today. They just and you get 10,000 or whatever it is for $100. You can just eat all you want to, and so, but you have to show a photo ID. You have to show a photo ID to go to Olive Garden
to get a bowl of Alfredo. Okay,
but not to vote.
Not to freaking vote.
Go.
No, I mean that's it right there. Look, as far as the photo ID, and I am repeating myself because I say this every time it comes up, okay? The argument is that it's an unfair burden on certain people, right? It's an undue burden on black people, on Hispanics, on, whomever, okay? Even though, as we point out, every time this comes up, you need a photo ID to do all kinds of stuff in our country.
To eat spaghetti.
I don't know anything about this, but they sell these new THC-infused drinks at Circle K, okay? I saw a guy ahead of the line of me buy one of these. You have to show a photo ID to buy that, to buy something at a Circle K. You gotta show a photo ID to buy a 6-pack of beer. Sometimes you got to show a photo ID to buy a pack of smokes. Okay, but it's somehow magically it's only a burden when you have to show it to vote. Right? It doesn't make any logical sense. There's an inherent insult to black people, especially because the argument is it's racist. You're trying to keep black people from voting. Women, they're trying to keep them from voting because I guess they're just too stupid to come up with a photo ID to vote. It's a ridiculous argument, and that's why, as Trump said this last night, the only reason you would be against voter ID is because you want to cheat.
Now, I don't want to. You're right. I don't want to end the week without doing this story.
Sure.
We have to do one more here before we start to head to the door.
Sure.
Marco Rubio gave a speech yesterday, and he was talking about left-wing violence around the world.
Right.
Because they're actually killing people around the world.
He was actually doing that live when we were still on the air
That's
yesterday.
right.
Yeah.
And so he talked about an industry of extremism. Come in the form of these think tanks, these consultants. Ideological prejudice is what they do. How many times we said, like in the tranny community, they have weaponized the tranny community and all that stuff. The left is, and the way it's presented in colleges, and this is why I can't stand colleges. They present it as the left, when they blow something up or when they shoot somebody or when they attack an ICE agent or something, the left is doing it for justice. It's justifiable. If somebody on the right, which doesn't happen, but if somebody on the right were to do that, well, that's just out-and-out white supremacy and violence. And Marco Rubio was talking about that yesterday. He said, we're no longer going to tolerate left-wing violence in our country. So let's talk about Little Miss Canada. And this is, by the way, and it's on my X account if you want to see it. It's a left-wing woman with her super left-wing husband who has been posting anti-Trump stuff since he was born. And she's an illegal alien. She came into the country and her visa expired and she overstayed her visa. And she was, first let me say, to me, I believe this was a complete setup for clicks. That her old man wanted clicks on his account, so he had his wife go over and slap snot out of a teenage girl who was wearing Trump stuff, and then made this big deal about it when she was arrested. That was
she did strike. I mean, like,
she hit her. You hit one of my girls that way, and you're gonna find tough getting up off the ground. You're gonna have a hard time getting up. So anyway, she should be prosecuted. She should be behind bricks and bars. It was all about just getting clicks for the old man. But this is how crazy these people are. They're absolutely certifiably nuts. That's crazy.
I agree. Yeah.
You walk up to a teenage girl and slap her?
Well, excuse me. It almost makes it worse that they would be doing this for the clicks. So you're telling me you're going to justify hitting a minor, physically assaulting a minor?
It's horrible.
Because you want the attention? Because you want to get the clicks? I mean, that's even worse than just being somebody who's unhinged and you see something you don't like, you start smacking somebody. That's bad enough. But if you're doing it with the idea that you're going to draw attention to yourself,
don't you think that's why they do it?
That's even worse.
That's why they did it, right?
Yeah. I mean, nobody knows who the hell these people are. They're talking about him now. All of a sudden, they live in New Jersey. They live in New Jersey,
right?
And they were at one of the beach areas. And I read that's the story we've been trying to get to all week. A grown-ass woman laying her hands on a teenage girl because she was wearing MAGA sweatpants and a MAGA hat.
Yep.
Again, you hear me say this all the time. Who do you have to be?
Yep.
But that comes up as an option in any way, shape, or form for any reason. So, yeah, I wouldn't try that in Texas.
Don't try it with one of mine.
I wouldn't try that. Not one of mine either. I mean, I wouldn't try that around here. But she has been arrested, I believe. Yeah, she's right.
She was arrested. Yeah,
right,
she was arrested.
She's facing charges.
And they're talking about deporting her. Let her serve time in jail before you deport her.
I would.
Take her straight to jail.
Put her in a cell for a little while before you send her back north.
Put her in community in a cell and make sure she's with some other mamas of teenage girls in there.
Right. What are you in here for? Slapping somebody's kid? Oh, it's going to be a long night for you.
Yeah, let's have a discussion. All right, so they had one last thing before the break. They had a debate last night with the guys who are running to replace Graham Plattner. Now, they've already decided who it's going to be.
Right.
But one of them is Maine Democrat Ashley Webb. Ashley is not really Ashley. Ashley pretends to be Ashley.
Oh, no. Trans.
And so Ashley was asked what qualifies you to be a United States senator.
Ashley Webb, what qualifications do you have to serve in the U.S. Senate?
Oh, I ran for office several times. Didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books. And then I suppose my transparency, I wouldn't lie to the people, and I wouldn't deceive the people like we're being deceived right now. Like,
I think you qualify. I would vote for you. I think you make it. You are now a United States Senator.
So that's a dude living as a woman.
You want to see him? Her?
No.
Okay.
But
no, you really don't.
I've seen
you
enough.
really don't.
But can you tell?
I don't want to.
Come take a look.
I don't want to hear some tranny idiot talking about transparency, okay? You're not being transparent if you're a dude and you're living as a woman. You know what I mean? We can kind of tell by the voice, dude. You know, that person's all about transparency. Well, that's great.
He's
that's
wearing.
beautimous.
He's got long hair. He's got makeup on, and he's wearing a muumuu.
Several times, didn't win, but I did run. And then I'm a songwriter, and then I write my own books, and then I suppose my transparency.
Yeah, your transparency does it all, right?
I write my own books. I don't think I have any. I'd have.
Do you want to be a
business.
senator?
No, I have no business being a senator.
More Ware and Rima coming up. KTSA. Chance of showers this morning, and then sun and clouds later today, and about 90. Sunny tomorrow and Sunday, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day, and the next day. 77 now. KTSA. I have a question for you in the form of a poem.
Yes?
How much poo would you go through to get a do? How'd I do?
That's actually pretty good. No, I think.
How much poo would you go through to get a do?
I got to do the syllable count, but I think that's damn near a haiku.
Is it? Is it close?
It might be a haiku.
I'm hanging out with you way too much.
I'd have to count the syllables.
How much poo would you go through to get a do?
I'm a classicist when it comes to haiku.
Yes, you are.
The syllable count's got to be correct.
You are. 1 year ago today, we were talking about this.
All right, come on. You're okay? Oh, what? Either they're having an affair or they're just very shy.
That was at a Coldplay concert.
1 year ago.
Can you believe how fast time goes, man?
I'm getting used to it because the clock do speed up the older you get. I can't believe that's been a year. And, this was on the heels of the tragic flooding from last year. And this was a big story. This dominated the news cycle for like a couple of days. And as we later found out, a lot of it was kind of, it wasn't exactly what it was sort of presented as.
No,
I mean, they were fine.
They were
both separated.
They were separated, and they were getting divorced, and they were having a consensual relationship.
Right.
That's the couple on Kiss Cam at the Coldplay concert.
And people were talking about Coldplay, which people don't talk about Coldplay nearly as much as they used to. I did say at the time, and I will repeat myself on this, Coldplay is totally mistress music, though. I will say that. It's mistress music. It is.
What is mistress music?
Mistress music is the music you play for the person that you're not married to.
Oh. Okay.
In other words, those people they caught on the Kiss Cam probably, they were legitimately both separated, apparently, right?
They
at
were.
The time.
They were, yes.
But guaranteed there are other couples in that crowd who weren't. Because they're listening to Coldplay. Plus, I can't stand Gwyneth Paltrow, and every time I hear about Coldplay, she pops into my brain.
Why?
She was married to Chris Martin.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. You knew that? You didn't know that?
I promise you I didn't.
Well, she was, but
I saw her.
He got out of that one. Good on you, buddy.
I saw her in Shakespeare in Love, and that was it for me.
She's an okay actor. She's not great actress. I mean, Shakespeare in Love, since we stumbled upon that topic. Shakespeare in Love won the Oscar for the Best Picture. She got Best Actor, and it wasn't the best movie of that year.
Sorry.
Oh, that was me. Sorry. I got to eat something after I get up here. That was the same movie that actually Elizabeth came out with Cate Blanchett, which was a much better movie than Shakespeare in Love, which was basically a rom-com in funny pants.
What was the guy's name? Ben what? That was the lead in that?
Oh, he was
J-Lo's husband. Right?
What? No, Ben Affleck was in that, but the main actor was Ray Fiennes, his brother.
I just remember Ben Affleck.
She was better in Emma and Sliding Doors.
Okay.
Sliding Doors wasn't a bad movie.
You guys have lost me totally.
And Emma is it's kind of like Jane
I don't remember Emma.
Austen inspired.
Oh, right.
I'm lost. I'm totally lost. Sorry, I don't know.
You're not up on pop culture, are you, Trey?
No. Well, not from that. Not from that time. I was watching.
But yeah, the year ago, that was a fast year. Because we're also, think about what was going on. I look at all the Facebook posts from this time last year, and we were all posting about
children.
We were posting about drives for people to drop off food and supplies and clothing for folks.
Yeah.
We were still pretty heavy into the relief efforts from the Guadalupe this time last year.
All the stuff that we talked about this morning is on my X account at Trey Ware Show, and more stuff we didn't get to. The videos of the jets flying along the beach, that's on there if you want to see that, and all that other stuff. Just go over there. You can see all the stuff. I always post it on there so you can go see it for yourself. I did want to mention this one because I don't know if this guy's just we call him an attention hog, which he truly is, but Don Lemon is on a podcast yesterday.
Oh, God.
And he said, I'm thinking about it. I'm seriously considering because not a day goes by that somebody doesn't tell me that I should, so I'm giving it strong consideration.
What, running for office?
Running for president in 28.
Oh, sit down.
First gay black president.
Sit down, Lemon.
No, he wouldn't. he would be the second one.
I concur.
The second gay black president.
Guys like that.
And there's no good in being number 2.
I bet guys like that, right? Guys like that run around telling everybody, "Yeah, people keep telling me I should run for president," when in reality, nobody is bringing up to that guy that he should run for president.
Hey, listen, no, hey. Do it, son.
Oh, I'd be all for
it.
Do it. It'd be fun.
You and AOC get on the same ticket, okay? That would be the only thing that would be better is if you, AOC, and Rashida Tlaib were on a tri-ticket. That would be awesome. I'd love that. So go ahead,
I
Donnie.
agree. It'd be fun, and it would be a great thing for Republicans and for Trump if he did run. But you know what I mean about nobody's really asking him. Like, you ever see somebody on Facebook that's like, I wish people would stop asking me out. And you just know nobody is asking them out. Don Lemon's that guy with the presidential
That's why
politics.
I said he's just an attention, what?
Attention, yeah.
Yes.
Ho. There you go. An attention garden implement that is used to turn over soil.
We let her say the bad words.
That's not a bad word.
That works in my house, too.
You say all the bad words, and we'll just play it straight over here.
But
ho, ho, ho. Santa says it all the time.
Ho, ho, ho. But and it still oddly works in regards to Don Lemon, because he's
the same thing.
He's a prostitute of a kind.
That's what he is, as a matter of fact. Okay, so please be safe if you're going to be anywhere near the Guadalupe River and any of the rivers over to the west of us as well. Please, you know all the stuff to do. You don't need Daddy on the radio to tell you anything because you know what to do. But just be safe. Same thing driving around if you're going to be up around there. I'm going to try to get up there and get us some pictures to send to Sam. I'm going to try and see if I can get some stuff. And then we'll be back here. We'll reconvene all this mess on Monday and see where we are. Reset the table. I hope I'm hoping for a quiet week. I need a quiet weekend.
Yeah, it's been a busy week, especially for you. You need well done this week.
Thank you. You too.
I said that earlier that you guys really, just as far as disseminating all the information on the fly, which we were doing for the first few days of the week, was superb.
Well, I appreciate you, and I appreciate you putting that in a video. Same to Elaine.
Yeah.
And Bill Taylor for joining us, being a part of that, and Christian stuff from up in the Kerrville area was great too. So,
God bless you all, man. God bless you all.
Well, thank you. And let's go ahead, Don, and roll my son playing his guitar as we go further up the road.